The faint, rhythmic shouts of a million soldiers condense into a single, cold resolve. Old sword god Ning Changge's sigh hangs in the air as imperial authority begins to slip. The spark is struck at the threshold of a new era. Stand with the rebellion and take your place in the ranks. Only those who commanded armies knew how difficult it was for a million soldiers to condense a single army soul. Military formations and condensing army souls were indeed powerful, capable of suppressing Land Immortals, but they weren't without limitations. First, it required well-trained soldiers who had lived and eaten together for a long time to cultivate rapport, not just any 100,000 people pulled together. Second, it required a sufficiently capable commander to condense the army soul's power. The larger the army, the harder it was to condense the army soul, with difficulty increasing exponentially towards the end. A million soldiers marked a significant threshold. Few famous generals in the 9 provinces could condense the army soul of a million-strong army, and few dynasties possessed such capability. The Mongol Yuan is indeed one of Great Qin's most formidable rivals. Bai Qi's voice was heavy as he stared at the heavenly wolf soul in the distant sky. General Wang, go make preparations. With a heavenly wolf army soul of this intensity, Wudeng will likely struggle to cope. We must ensure we rescue Wudeng at the most critical moment, so that the little immortal will be grateful to us. Wang Jian nodded solemnly. He gazed into the distance, about to turn and give the orders. But then he froze, staring blankly ahead towards Wudeng. Before Wudeng Mountain, a new change had occurred. Ning Changge looked calmly at the heavenly wolf figure before him, a faint surprise flashing in his eyes, but nothing more. This heavenly wolf army soul was indeed powerful, far stronger than the power Shakyamuni gained from the self-sacrifice of 20 Buddhas that day. But Ning Changge's strength was also vastly different now. After reaching late-stage foundation establishment, his mana had surged. Not to mention, his true body was present, further enhanced by the 7 stars spirit gathering formation and the circumventing stars formation sword array. Therefore, he was completely unfazed. Ning Changge stood with his hands behind his back, a smile on his face, instantly filling the Wudeng members with confidence. Even facing the terrifying heavenly wolf and Beisiba's hate-filled roars, they felt no fear. Gold Spirit laughed mockingly. You who are about to die dare act insolently before the Tao Venerable? How foolish! Clow exclaims. Ha-ha-ha. Beisiba and Meng Chixing's eyes were bloodshot, their auras merging with the million-strong heavenly wolf army. This time they wouldn't be arrogant and charge out of the formation. They combined their efforts to control the heavenly wolf army soul. Who is about to die will soon be known. Meng Chixing snorted coldly. The heavenly wolf leaped forward. Boom! The earth trembled. Its mountain-like body burned with overwhelming killing aura. The ground corroded beneath its 4 hooves. The heavenly wolf's blood-red eyes surged with killing intent. Even ordinary Land Immortals wouldn't dare meet its gaze. But Ning Changge remained calm. He smiled. The circumventing stars formation sword array has 2 forms. The first, which you saw, is called Star Sword Chi, numbering 100,000. There is a second, named Pagoda Sword Chi, numbering 3,000. One named Star, one named Pagoda. Together, they formed the circumventing stars formation sword array. As Ning Changge's words fell, excitement surged within everyone. Even though there were only 3,000 Pagoda Sword Chis, they felt a violent throbbing deep within their souls. Zhang Sanfeng and the others' eyes were filled with anticipation, especially Zhang Sanfeng, who burst into laughter. This was the birthday gift from his disciple. Beisiba and Meng Chixing's hearts leaped. The terror of the Star Sword Chi was still fresh in their minds. If another so-called Pagoda Sword Chi appeared, it likely wouldn't be easy. The Heavenly Wolf Army's final trump card was now revealed. They had to settle the score in one fell swoop. Kill, kill, kill! The million-strong Heavenly Wolf Army roared in unison. The Heavenly Wolf also howled, its massive body soaring, pouncing towards Wudeng. Dense, blood-red light enveloped Wudeng, intending to extinguish all life. They aimed to strike first, to act before Ning Changge could fully form the Pagoda Sword Chi. But clearly their thinking was too naive. Star Sword Chi, descend! Ning Changge pointed lightly. The newly recondensed Star Sword Chis rained down instantly, colliding with the blood-red light. Bang, bang, bang. Sword Chi and blood light flew everywhere, accompanied by dense explosions. The sky filled with splashes of blood and starlight, beautiful yet radiating extreme killing intent. The void trembled. Jianghu experts retreated continuously. Even a glancing blow from the sword chi or bloodlight would instantly pulverize a Heavenman realm expert. They watched the battlefield in shock. The Heavenly Wolf's ferocious assault was completely blocked by the star sword chis. The Heavenly Wolf itself was repeatedly forced back by larger clusters of star sword chi, unable to get close to Ning Changge no matter how it charged. Beisiba and Meng Chixing stared wide-eyed, unable to believe what they saw. They had clashed with the star sword chi before, but they didn't understand why its power had suddenly increased so much, to the point where even the Heavenly Wolf couldn't break through. Seeing the Wudang members watching them mockingly from behind Ning Changge, they ground their teeth in hatred. But soon, they had no time for teeth grinding. An intense throbbing from the depths of their souls made them look up involuntarily, their eyes widening fixedly. Behind the star sword chis shimmering with brilliant golden light were rapidly forming. Within that golden sword chi, 3,000 pagoda sword chis formed in just a fleeting moment. Everyone stared blankly at the sky. The intensity of each pagoda sword chi seemed no less than the strike of a land immortal. What did 3,000 pagoda sword chis signify? It meant 3,000 land immortals attacking simultaneously. Hiss! Gasps echoed. In this moment, words were superfluous. Only this primal physical reaction could honestly express the shock in their hearts. Bai Qi and Wang Jian's eyes widened, soft murmurs escaping. Do we perhaps not need to intervene after all? Beisiba and Meng Chixing couldn't believe their eyes even more. Beisiba roared uncontrollably, "Fake, it's all fake!" Unwilling to accept it, he tried to drive the Heavenly Wolf to crush these so-called pagoda sword chis, but he wasn't given the chance. Ning Changge glanced at him calmly. 3,000 pagoda sword chis descended like rain. Rumble! The sound of sword chi friction against the void was incredibly intense. The pagoda sword chis, radiating sacred golden light, fell from the sky, their target the massive Heavenly Wolf. Everyone watched this scene in horror. The blood-red Heavenly Wolf howled, blood light surging skyward, but it couldn't block the 3,000 sword chis. Rumble! Continuous tremors sounded. The entire Tianzhu peak seemed to shake. The Heavenly Wolf army soul's strength was indeed extraordinary. It could still struggle briefly. The million Heavenly Wolf soldiers desperately channeled their baleful aura and killing intent, but ultimately it was futile. When the 3,000 pagoda sword chis finally dissipated, the Heavenly Wolf figure, larger than mountains, had vanished, not even a strand of fur remaining. It had been completely ground away by the pagoda sword chis. Everyone's gaze was filled with extreme shock. The scene before them was utterly unprecedented. One person's strength could rival a million-strong army. Throughout the 9 provinces, this was incredibly unbelievable. The recent events in the Sui dynasty had reminded the Jianghu of the terror of dynastic armies. But now, Ning Changge showed them that a single person could also break a million soldiers. Wudang members' eyes were filled with admiration and reverence. So this is the circumventing stars formation sword array? Truly terrifying. And we were worried about this and that before. Turns out we were the ones worrying needlessly, haha. Huangsheng and Zhao exchanged wry smiles, but their hearts surged with excitement. The Immortal Dao, this was the Immortal Dao, an unprecedented longing rose within them. Zhang Sanfeng laughed heartily. Only now did he realize how astonishing the centenary gift from his disciple truly was. The distant Jianghu observers were all stunned speechless, utterly dumbfounded. Bai Qi and Wang Jian exchanged glances, unable to help but gasp, looking at Wudang with newfound wariness. With such strength, even their Ren 2 army might not be a match. Everyone remained immersed in the terror of the pagoda sword chis. On the battlefield, the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army coughed up blood simultaneously, their auras weakening, looking fearfully at the white-robed figure. The young Taoist was peerlessly handsome, but in their eyes he was more terrifying than a demon. How is this possible? How? Beisiba stared in disbelief, on the verge of madness. He couldn't accept this result. The condensed army soul of a million soldiers wasn't a match for Wudang's circumventing stars formation sword array. Meng Chixing fared no better. These 2 land immortals commanding the army were on the verge of mental collapse. The events of the day were too terrifying for them to bear. No, I don't believe it. Our army soul can be condensed again. As long as the soldiers aren't destroyed, the army soul is immortal. I refuse to believe your sword chi can come again. A final spark of hope and madness flared in Beisiba's eyes. Army soul, gather again? This was the terror of military formations. As long as the soldiers remained, the army soul could be recondensed. Only by repeatedly destroying the army soul, causing the soldiers to die from the backlash, could the formation be broken. This was one of the fundamental reasons why Land Immortals feared armies. They could wear you down to death. When the Heavenly Wolf army soul was destroyed moments ago, the million soldiers coughed up blood. Though weakened, their core strength wasn't fundamentally damaged. They hadn't completely lost their combat capability. Hearing Bathsheba's roar, the well-trained soldiers instinctively roared towards the sky again. Baleful aura and killing intent surged. The blood-red Heavenly Wolf reappeared. Though not as terrifying as before, its aura was still overwhelmingly strong. Everyone's expression changed. But Ning Changge showed no change. He formed a hand seal. Above Tianju Peak, several rays of light suddenly shot into the sky. The Heaven Man Tomb, the Spirit Herb Garden, the Myriad Sword Steel, and the Seven Stars Spirit Gathering Formation, all pulsed with boundless converging light. The Circumventing Stars Formation Sword Array had been built upon these Wudang foundations and naturally drew power from them. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Star Sword Cheese and Pagoda Sword Cheese, radiating powerful auras, recondensed. In just an instant, 100,000 Star Sword Cheese and 3,000 Pagoda Sword Cheese were fully formed. This time, the two types of Sword Chi resonated. Their combined might even more terrifying. Despair filled Bathsheba and Meng Chixing's eyes. They cursed angrily. "Damn heavens, must you force our Mongol Yuan onto a path of death today?" Ning Changge snorted coldly. These people never considered that if greed hadn't sprouted in their hearts, they wouldn't face this outcome. He was never indecisive and wouldn't hold back just because of numbers. On the path of immortal cultivation, indiscriminate killing was taboo to avoid karmic entanglement. But those who deserved death must be killed. This million-strong Heavenly Wolf army had courted death. Ning Changge's eyes were indifferent, like a lofty Tao ancestor, inspiring awe. With a wave of his hand, 100,000 Star Sword Cheese and 3,000 Pagoda Sword Cheese descended upon the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army. The sheer terror of the isolated Star Sword Chi and Pagoda Sword Chi was already considerable. Now, combined, their power eclipsed even the sun and moon. 103,000 Sword Chis? What did that even mean? Previously, people could only imagine, but now they had a concrete reference. Shock and fascination filled every gaze, especially among the peerless swordsmen who felt deep reverence. Any swordsman witnessing such a spectacle of swordsmanship would feel the same. This was the pinnacle of the sword path, an image to be etched in memory forever. Each sword chi flickered like a firefly, brilliant starlight, and sacred golden light reflecting in everyone's eyes. Xianxia couldn't help but feel awe. Such power! Even if I raised a grand army for the world society, what could it achieve? His face fell, filled with dejection. Bai Qi and Wang Jian exchanged glances, subconsciously swallowing, a wry chuckle escaping. Seems like we don't need to intervene after all. A faint blush crept onto their faces. They had initially planned to sit back and wait, intending to swoop in and offer timely aid when Wudang faltered. But now they felt like the clowns were themselves. The wry smiles deepened. Ha! Clow makes a quick laugh, their eyes filled with shock. Everyone knew Wudang would certainly not fall today. In fact, the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army might very well perish here. Horrified gazes turned towards the scene. The vast expanse of 103,000 sword chis had already clashed again with the newly formed Heavenly Wolf army soul. Rumble, the sound of sword chi tearing through the air echoed relentlessly. The Heavenly Wolf roared, beams of blood-red light shooting up to block the swords, but they visibly diminished at a rapid rate. Though the army soul wouldn't perish as long as the soldiers lived. Having been forcibly ground down once, the soldiers suffered backlash. Their condition naturally weakened. The recondensed Heavenly Wolf was clearly inferior to its previous iteration. In contrast, the Circumventing Stars Formation Sword Array. Empowered by Wudang's various foundations, its power continued to rise, seemingly endless. As the 103,000 sword chis struck down, new ones were already forming in the sky above. With one side weakening and the other strengthening, the outcome was obvious. Sword chi rained down. The Heavenly Wolf howled in agony. Fear flickered in the soldiers' eyes for the first time. Bathsheba and Meng Chixing were completely frantic. Kill, condense, condense. Witnessing their madness, the onlookers fell silent, shaken. They knew if they were in the same position, facing such a terrifying rain of sword chi, they likely wouldn't fare any better. Boom! The first wave of 103,000 sword chis struck. the heavenly wolf disintegrated. Without the protection of the army soul, the remaining sword cheese swept through the million-strong heavenly wolf army like reaping wheat. In an instant, over 100,000 soldiers perished. The thick stench of blood filled the air. The ground before Wudang Mountain seemed stained crimson. This horrifying scene chilled the observing Jianghu members to the bone. Their gazes towards Ning Changge were now filled with fear. This was a peerless, ruthless figure, slaughtering over 100,000 soldiers without a second thought. Few in the world possessed such audacity. Even killing 100,000 chickens or dogs required significant mental fortitude, let alone 100,000 people. Ning Changge's face remained impassive, showing no fluctuation. He acted according to his inner principles. The Mongol Yuan's actions courted death. He naturally wouldn't hold back. The Wudang members, though somewhat unsettled by the scene, didn't think Ning Changge was wrong. They weren't fools. If Wudang had been the weaker party today, these Mongol Yuan wolves wouldn't have shown any mercy. Moreover, the Mongol Yuan had a notorious reputation. They hadn't forgotten the cause of this conflict. During the Sui dynasty wars, the Mongol Yuan frequently massacred cities, earning a fearsome reputation. What happened today was merely karma. Bai Qi's expression was complex, a mixture of shock and awe. He felt that the figure opposite him seemed more like a god of slaughter than himself. After all, he merely led armies to kill enemies. The number he had personally killed likely numbered in the tens of thousands at most. But Ning Changge waved his hand and slaughtered over 100,000. How terrifying was that? A trace of respect unconsciously entered his eyes. Countless Jianghu experts held their breath. The slaughter continued. The air filled with the screams and roars of the heavenly wolf soldiers. The army's soul barely managed to recondense, but this time it was only slightly stronger than the previous 8 blood wolf army souls combined. Ning Changge's expression didn't change. He waved his hand lightly. The newly condensed star sword cheese and pagoda sword cheese rained down once more. The heavenly wolf's agonized howl echoed again. This time, the reformed army soul couldn't even withstand 3 breaths before being shattered. The heavenly wolf soldiers suffered intense backlash, spitting blood and being thrown back. This time, the backlash was exceptionally severe. Military formations weren't invincible. They were helpless against attacks exceeding their tolerance. Beisiba and Meng Chixing also spat blood, sent flying back. Cracks even appeared on their bodies. As the main controllers of the formation, the backlash they suffered was naturally stronger. At this moment, they stared blankly at the terrifying sword cheese. After annihilating the heavenly wolf army soul this time, most of the 103,000 sword cheese remained. The two exchanged glances, bitter smiles on their faces. My life ends here, in this moment? Regret consumed them. They faintly sensed that the Mongol Yuan had truly provoked an enemy they shouldn't have. Great disaster might befall them. Endless regret gnawed at their minds. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. From the moment they led the army to besiege Wudang, the outcome was sealed. Rumble! A torrent of pagoda sword cheese pierced through their bodies. This time, without the army soul's protection, they only managed to endure a dozen or so pagoda sword cheese before being completely overwhelmed. Heavenly phenomena reappeared, signaling the fall of Land Immortals. From the start of the battle until now, 9 Land Immortals had perished. The continuous celestial cries of grief not only numbed the onlookers with shock, but also drew the attention of the great Ming dynasty, whose gaze shifted towards this direction. Countless people were shaken. However, many didn't know that all the fallen were Mongol Yuan Land Immortals. They merely thought the battle between Wudang and the Mongol Yuan was incredibly fierce. Under countless horrified gazes, the remaining sword cheese continued downwards, targeting the remaining hundreds of thousands of heavenly wolf soldiers. Everyone felt a chill. A heavenly wolf commander roared, "Little immortal, are you truly going to annihilate us all, causing boundless slaughter? They are just ordinary soldiers. They have wives, children, and parents. Spare their lives and we are willing to die." Behind these soldiers is the Mongol Yuan dynasty, a plea mixed with a threat. Everyone was shaken. Some looked disdainful, others felt pity. All eyes turned to Ning Changge. His expression remained as indifferent as ever. When slaughtering others, they didn't think of wives and parents. Now, as the fish on the chopping block, they remembered. How laughable. When they massacred cities and treated people like livestock, they should have expected this end. Ning Changge ignored them completely. "The Mongol Yuan dynasty, they'll join you soon enough." His words sent shivers down spines. His resolve was unshakable. The sword Qis didn't hesitate for even a fraction of a second. They descended. Ning Changge, may you die a horrible death. You demon from hell, even in death we will become vengeful spirits to haunt Wudang, ensuring its people never find peace life after life. Spare me, I was wrong. Fight him, but the sword Qi rained down mercilessly. Bang, 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 bang. Dense impact sounds echoed. Under countless stunned and blank gazes, the hundreds of thousands of soldiers were engulfed by the sword Qi. Without the army soul's protection, these soldiers, no matter how elite, were vulnerable. A single star sword Qi could easily slay thousands. Screams filled the air. The thick scent of blood rose, terrifying onlookers. The ground before Wudang resembled a hellish slaughterhouse. Sword Qis flew, heads rolled, flesh turned into blood mist. Such a scene turned even the most fearless Jianghu experts pale. Some with weaker stomachs vomited, unable to look directly. But everyone looked at the white figure with deep reverence and fear. This was the first time the world had witnessed Ning Changge causing such slaughter. Previously, he had only punished the main culprits. For example, during the Tao Buddhist battle, he only slew the Buddhist leaders, sparing the remaining monks. But today, the Mongol Yuan had crossed his line, and the world saw another side of Ning Changge. Just as he once told Wang Rong, anyone who obstructs his path shall be killed. Xianxia watched the bloody, sky-reeking scene, swallowing hard. Any treacherous thoughts he harbored completely vanished. Such a figure, is beyond my reach. He felt dispirited. Witnessing Ning Changge's peerless style and decisive slaughter today made his own pride seem insignificant. He no longer dared to covet the immortal methods. The million-strong Heavenly Wolf army was the best example. Sorceress Nianyang and Zhu Yuyan's eyes were filled with reverence. They now realized their worries had been entirely unnecessary. Wudang had its own foundation and feared no army. Ku Zhang was utterly stupefied. The scene before him would forever be etched in his memory. He had previously thought Su Ziling's admiration for the little immortal was foolish, but now he realized he was the fool. He shook his head with a bitter smile, sighing repeatedly. Ning Changge's brilliance was too dazzling for him to look at directly. Su Ziling stared blankly, a resolute thought forming in his mind. Brother Zhang, in this life I must step onto the immortal Tao. Ku Zhang felt a tremor in his heart. Brother Ling, are you mad? The fate of the million Heavenly Wolf army is right before us, and you still want to scheme for Wudang's immortal method. Su Ziling shook his head slowly. No, I won't scheme. From now on, I will live near Wudang and sincerely seek the immortal Tao for the rest of my life. I can no longer travel with you. Ku Zhang stood frozen, looking at his friend who had shared hardships with him, mixed feelings churning within. Bai Qi and Wang Jian also watched in horror as the million Heavenly Wolf soldiers turned into blood mist. Their limbs felt cold. Wiping out a million-strong army with a wave of his hand. What kind of myth was this? Like a true immortal walking the earth. Compared to the little immortal, what kind of killing god am I? Bai Qi's face twitched, eventually forcing a bitter smile. Wang Jian felt the same. He had previously thought his companion was the most murderous person in the world. But after witnessing this battle, he knew Bai Qi was nothing compared to Ning Changge. General Bai, it seems we've been sitting comfortably in Great Qin for too long, looking at the sky from the bottom of a well. Wang Jian lamented. They had previously planned to rush out and offer timely aid when Wudang was in peril, earning immense favor. But now, it seemed their help wasn't needed at all. A million Heavenly Wolf soldiers weren't enough for Wudang to handle. They even suspected that even with their Ren 2 army added, they might not be a match. Bai Qi nodded blankly, his previous arrogance gone. His voice still held shock. Not just us, His Majesty the First Emperor also underestimated Wudang, underestimated this little immortal. But compared to the great Khan of Mongol Yuan, His Majesty is far more astute. After today's battle, provoking such a powerful enemy as Wudang, the Mongol Yuan will likely know no peace. The two exchanged glances, seeing the schadenfreude in each other's eyes. The Mongol Yuan dynasty was one of Great Qin's main rivals. Now that they were mortal enemies with Wudang, they were naturally pleased. As for the immortal method, we'll need a long-term plan. His Majesty's assessment was correct. To obtain the immortal method, we can only befriend this little immortal. This little immortal truly is like a genuine immortal walking the earth. Both looked at the distant white figure with reverence. At this moment, Ning Changge was the center of the universe. Gazes filled with shock, reverence, adoration, and admiration focused on him, but his expression remained largely unchanged. He didn't care much for others' opinions anyway. At this moment, he looked indifferently at the rolling blood mist before him, interwoven with strands of deathly aura. The five-colored spiritual light in Ning Changge's eyes surged. The spirit tree within him swayed, the black and white light at its top, nurturing the Tao of life and death, flickered brightly. Inspiration surged in Ning Changge's mind, deepening his understanding of the Tao of life and death. Having personally slain 1,000,000 enemies naturally gave him a unique perspective on life and death. The 1,000,000 heavenly wolf soldiers annihilated by the sword Qi, blood filling the sky, staining the earth red. A chilling sight. Many watched with complex emotions. This was the inevitable aftermath of such a world-shaking battle. Any place in the 9 provinces where a million-scale battle occurred would turn into dead land afterward, feared by ordinary people. Barring any unforeseen events, the area before Wudang Mountain would likely suffer the same fate. In a way, this could be seen as the consequence of Ning Changge slaughtering the 1,000,000 heavenly wolf soldiers. People thought silently. Wudang members also felt some concern, but immediately everyone froze. Ning Changge emerged from his contemplation of the Tao of life and death, glanced faintly at the scene before him and pointed a finger. Instantly, a spark of samadhi true fire appeared. Then, fueled by starlight, it grew rapidly, instantly becoming a sea of fire. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under shocked gazes, the rolling blood mist was consumed by the black sea of fire, vanishing into nothingness at a visible rate, leaving not even a trace behind. The true fire then spread, consuming the earth below. Miraculously, the samadhi true fire caused no damage to the land itself, but completely evaporated the blood that had seeped deep within. When the samadhi true fire disappeared, a speck of blood light flew into Ning Changge's hand. Only then did everyone awaken as if from a dream. Whoosh! A gentle breeze blew past, carrying a sweet scent. Everyone stared blankly ahead. Empty, no trace of bloodlust remained, not even the faintest smell of blood, let alone the overwhelming aura of death. Their mouths hung open, stunned, changing heaven and earth with a wave of his hand. If they hadn't personally witnessed the 1,000,000-strong army being slaughtered here moments ago, they would have thought they were hallucinating. Everyone looked at Ning Changge with utter shock and reverence. Little Immortal, his methods were heaven-defying. Otherwise, the lingering bloodlust would have severely damaged Wudang's foundation, potentially turning it into a place the Jianghu shunned. Ning Changge smiled faintly, pleased. Annihilating the 1,000,000 heavenly wolf army had not only allowed him to comprehend the scattering beings into soldiers' divine ability and deepen his understanding of the Tao of life and death, but also yielded pure blood essence, a triple gain. However, this matter clearly wouldn't end here. It wasn't Ning Changge's style to not retaliate after being attacked. His indifferent voice echoed across the sky. In 7 days, I will go to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital. Temujin shall present his head and kowtow, or else the Mongol capital will be annihilated. The faint words echoed across the heavens, and everyone's eyes instinctively widened, filled with disbelief. Temujin? Who was he? This was the great Khan of the Mongol Yuan dynasty, the king of the steppes. The Mongol Yuan dynasty was among the most powerful dynasties in the entire 9 provinces. And now, Ning Changge demanded this dynasty's ruler present his head in apology. The implications were extraordinary. This meant declaring all-out war against the Mongol Yuan. Everyone was stunned, horror filling their eyes. Their hearts pounded uncontrollably, mouths dry. The news was simply too earth-shattering. Shengba stared wide-eyed, a hint of reverence silently appearing. A mere Jianghu sect declaring war on a dynasty, what unmatched dominance. His heart filled with longing. Wasn't this his lifelong ambition? To develop his forces, eventually integrate the Central Plains, and finally contend with dynasties. But now, he saw this very grandeur embodied by Wudang ahead of time. Ning Changge's sheer audacity captivated him. This power-hungry tyrant, who had never truly submitted to anyone, felt genuine admiration. Previously, he was awed by Ning Changge's strength and methods. Now, he was humbled by Ning Changge's ambition. Most Jianghu experts felt similarly. Those who already admired Ning Changge admired him even more. Those who were previously indifferent now had complex feelings in their eyes, declaring war on a dynasty. Looking across the 9 provinces, how many possessed such courage and vision? Bai Qi and Wang Jian subconsciously sucked in a breath of cold air. Whoosh! Their eyes widened in disbelief. As generals of a dynasty, they knew the true power of a dynasty better than anyone, which made this even more inconceivable. Previously, they thought Ning Changge, having annihilated the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army, had become mortal enemies with the Mongol Yuan, and they even felt some schadenfreude for the latter. But they never imagined. Ning Changge's audacity far exceeded their expectations. Going to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital to behead the king of the steppes, just thinking about it felt incredible. Bai Qi was already a figure whose killing intent reached the heavens, but even he only dared to dream of such a scenario. Perhaps one day, if the Great Qin crushed the Mongol Yuan army, he might have a chance. But for Ning Changge to declare it openly before the world, that was entirely different. Ning Changge looked around indifferently. He knew Mongol Yuan spies must still be lurking among the crowd. He couldn't be bothered to root them out one by one. He would go to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital, openly, without concealment. So what if they had time to prepare? Ning Changge would use this opportunity to kill the chicken and scare the monkey. It was also a formal demonstration of the immortal Tao's might to the world, paving the way for spreading its teachings later. He hadn't cared about the dynasty's prying eyes before. Firstly, their actions were minor disturbances that didn't affect his cultivation, mere ants hopping about. Secondly, his strength hadn't reached its current level back then. Opposing an entire nation single-handedly would have required considerable effort. But now, the Mongol Yuan dynasty's actions had crossed Ning Changge's bottom line. If he didn't make a trip, would the world think Wudang could be bullied by anyone? Simply annihilating the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army wasn't enough. Ning Changge would make the Mongol Yuan pay an irreversible price. He stood with his hands behind his back, his figure elegant. All gazes upon him were filled with deep reverence. Ning Changge glanced towards the direction of the Great Qin's Ren II army, then turned and led the Wudang members back to Tianzhu Peak. A gentle breeze blew, yet where the vast Heavenly Wolf army had stood, not a single trace remained, leaving everyone aghast. Everyone watched the retreating figures of Wudang with complex emotions. Do you think the little immortal can really destroy the Mongol capital? Someone couldn't help but murmur, breaking the silence. At this point, you still doubt the little immortal's strength. Do you think the annihilation of the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army was just our hallucination? That's not it. It's just the little immortal relied somewhat on the power of the circumventing star's formation sword array earlier. Now, trying to destroy the Mongol capital is a different level of difficulty. The Mongol Yuan imperial capital is their main base. The Great Khan is a peak expert of the imperial Tao. The forces guarding the capital likely aren't inferior to the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army. Can the little immortal succeed alone without the formation's support? You have a point, but I believe the little immortal wouldn't act rashly. Since he declared he's going to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital, he must have the confidence and means. Indeed, the little immortal's methods are heaven-defying. The Mongol Yuan dynasty is likely in big trouble this time. Even if the little immortal can't destroy the Mongol Yuan imperial capital, he'll at least make them suffer greatly. Killing Temujin might be unlikely, but the Mongol Yuan will likely lose hundreds of thousands more elite soldiers. After the little immortal, perhaps the era is about to change. Discussions erupted, everyone filled with emotion and awe. One person against a nation. If Ning Changge could truly force the Mongol Yuan to bow its head single-handedly, then the 9 provinces might enter a new era, the era of the immortal Tao. In ancient times, the 9 provinces flourished with martial arts, sects standing tall. Only later, when someone developed the power of military formations, did dynasties rapidly rise, suppressing martial sects. The Jianghu was thereafter subjugated by the imperial court. But now, the appearance of the immortal Tao might return the 9 provinces to an era where ultimate power resided within the individual. The eyes of Jianghu experts burned with intense fervor and anticipation. Bai Qi and Wang Jian, however, exchanged glances, feeling somewhat chilled. Ning Changge's final glance in their direction was too terrifying. They hadn't even dared to meet his eyes. Ning Changge had clearly discovered the Great Qin Ren II army early on. If Great Qin hadn't harbored malicious intent, their fate might have been the same as the Heavenly Wolf armies. This little immortal is truly unfathomable. Bai Qi swallowed hard, somewhat fearful. Over the years, he had only felt such terror from the first emperor. Now there was another. The two looked at each other, seeing the relief in each other's eyes. Luckily, they held no ill will today, otherwise the consequences would have been dire. Wang Jian couldn't help but force a bitter smile. General Bai, do you think he can destroy the Mongol Yuan imperial capital? Bai Qi's face was grave. He slowly shook his head. I'm not sure, but I know the 9 provinces are about to change. Regardless of whether the little immortal ultimately destroys the Mongol Yuan imperial capital, this is a huge blow to imperial authority. There will only be 2 outcomes. What do you mean? First, all dynasties will try their utmost to destroy the immortal Tao. Emperors will fear its existence, a fear potentially greater than their desire for longevity. Second, imperial power and the immortal Tao coexist or even become subservient to the immortal Tao, ushering the 9 provinces into a new era. Which of these 2 possibilities comes to pass depends on the specific course of the little immortal's trip to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital. Hearing Bai Qi's faint sigh, Wang Jian's scalp tingled. He wasn't stupid and immediately understood, horrified. If the little immortal truly destroys the Mongol capital, all emperors will be filled with reverence. If he only barely manages to protect himself, he might face a coalition of dynasties. Bai Qi nodded solemnly. Indeed, though I hate to admit it, rulers have always found it difficult to tolerate things beyond their control. Wang Jian deeply agreed. The reason emperors tolerated the Jianghu's existence was because armies could suppress Land Immortals. Even the top experts of the 9 provinces had checks and balances, posing no threat to dynastic rule. But the immortal Tao was different. As Ning Changge displayed increasingly terrifying strength, culminating in the annihilation of the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army, a critical point had been reached. Let's go. We must report this news to His Majesty as soon as possible so he can make a decision. Deep down, neither Bai Qi nor Wang Jian wanted to make an enemy of someone like Ning Changge. He was simply too terrifying. Figures departed one after another, tasked with spreading the shocking events of the day for the world to know. On Wudeng's Tianzhu Peak, Wudeng disciples returned in an orderly fashion, resuming their martial practice and chores as usual, though the inner excitement from witnessing such a grand scene was hard to dispel immediately, which was normal. Meanwhile, Zhang Sanfeng pulled Ning Changge aside, his face etched with worry. Changge going to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital in 7 days. Is it perhaps? He worried his disciple might suffer a loss. Without the support of the circumventing stars formation sword array, if his disciple went alone and fell into a trap, it would be troublesome. Master will go with you. Everyone nodded slowly in agreement. They offered to go together, not because they distrusted Ning Changge, but because care bred concern. Furthermore, the Mongol Yuan dynasty had stood for many years. Its foundation was incomparable to that of a sect. If they went together, they could at least help handle minor troubles. Ning Changge smiled faintly. Master need not worry. Don't forget, your disciple laid down the circumventing stars formation sword array. If I wasn't confident, how could I go alone? Master and the others should just guard Wudeng. Otherwise, if someone with ill intentions tries to sneak onto Wudeng, it would also be troublesome. This was just an excuse. Once the news of Ning Changge annihilating the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army spread, likely no one in the 9 provinces would dare set foot on Wudeng again, perceiving it as a monstrous force. Besides, Ning Changge would leave protective measures on Wudeng. Even if someone truly blind came looking for trouble, they would only be seeking death. Zhang Sanfeng and the others could only offer wry smiles. Ning Changge smiled and waved his hand, indicating it wasn't necessary. Annihilating the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army relied on the power of the sword formation. His own strength hadn't been displayed at all. He would use the Mongol Yuan dynasty as a test subject. He had great confidence in himself. All right, since you have your own plans, Changge, Master won't hold you back. Zhang Sanfeng sighed. Having such an outstanding disciple had its own worries. He wanted to help but couldn't. Ning Changge just smiled. After this matter is settled, I will gradually spread the immortal methods throughout Wudeng. Master and the others can prepare yourselves. You can start cultivating the sensing art I taught you earlier. There's no harm in it. As Ning Changge spoke, everyone's eyes lit up. This time they had truly witnessed the terror of the immortal Tao. Even a million-strong Heavenly Wolf army was no match. How horrifying. True power resided within the individual, capable of rivaling 10,000 soldiers alone. This was also Ning Changge's plan. First, use Huangrong and the others as trials, then transform Wudeng into an immortal sect, using it as a cornerstone to spread the teachings throughout the world. He had already achieved some results. It was time to begin. Everyone felt thrilled, especially Huang Shang and Xiaoyazi. They had firmly stood by Wudeng, and now their opportunity had finally arrived. Ning Changge smiled and departed. He still needed some preparations before heading to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital in 7 days. Moreover, it wasn't just the Mongol Yuan this time. He knew the Ming Emperor's schemes wouldn't be insignificant either. Otherwise, how could the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army have arrived so brazenly at Wudang's gates? A cold glint flashed in Ning Changge's eyes as he glanced towards the direction of the great Ming imperial capital. Scores needed to be settled one by one. First, destroy the Mongol Yuan imperial capital. He reached out and drew forth the essence of the million soldiers' blood and flesh that had been purified by the Samadhi true fire earlier. The blood light slowly dissipated, revealing an incredibly vibrant drop of blood before Ning Changge, thick with overwhelming, condensed bloodlust. Perhaps this can be used to refine a spiritual treasure to restrain military formation killing aura. A thought stirred in Ning Changge's mind. He never cared about the righteousness or evil of techniques. If used for good, it was good. Without hesitation, he summoned the mountain's river's spirit-gathering furnace, and the Samadhi true fire blazed within the scripture pavilion. Wudang Mountain remained peaceful, but tumultuous waves surged across the 9 provinces. News of little immortal Ning Changge annihilating the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army before Tianzhu Peak spread, causing massive earthquakes of shock. Everyone doubted their own ears. "You're saying?" The little immortal summoned 100,000 star sword cheese and 3,000 pagoda sword cheese, forcibly annihilating the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army. The Mongol Yuan dynasty's most elite Heavenly Wolf army. Voices filled with disbelief echoed throughout the Jianghu, spreading rapidly outwards from the great Ming and former Sui territories. Yes, you heard correctly. The storyteller's eyes also held shock, seemingly still immersed in the terrifying scene. "I saw it with my own eyes. The Mongol Yuan dynasty coveted the little immortal's immortal Dao method. Using the third prince's death as a pretext, they came to Wudang seeking revenge. Revenge in name, seizing the immortal method in reality. But who would have thought the little immortal was so terrifying? And the circumventing stars formation sword array established during Master Zhang's centenary banquet was so powerful. 1 million soldiers slaughtered. Just thinking about that scene chills me to the bone. I never expected the little immortal to be so domineering when angered." The person's eyes held reverence, then turned fervent. Not only that, the little immortal declared that in a few days, he will personally go to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital to demand an explanation, demanding the Mongol Emperor Temujin present his head in apology. As the words fell, a chorus of gasps followed. Everyone was stunned. Holding an emperor accountable single-handedly, what audacity, admiration, and reverence filled everyone's eyes. This was the dream of countless Jianghu heroes. And now Ning Changge was making it a reality. Let's go right now. I must witness this," countless people shouted. Even knowing the Mongol Yuan dynasty was undoubtedly a dragon's den and tiger's lair at this moment, they had to go watch the battle or regret it for life. The Jianghu was rocked by earthquakes. Ning Changge's casual words stirred the hearts of countless people. Peak Marshal Dao Land Immortals were also shocked, but the most shocked were the various dynasty rulers. When Bai Qi and Wang Jian's urgent report arrived, atop the heaven-reaching pavilion, Ying Zheng, Emperor Qin Shi Huang, for the first time disregarded his composure, his domineering face pale with shock and disbelief. "What? Is this news true? The million-strong Heavenly Wolf army truly fell at the hands of the little immortal. Are you telling me the absolute truth? Spit it out, now!" At this moment, Ying Zheng's majestic eyes were wide, staring intensely at Zhao Gao before him. Utter shock and disbelief swirled deep within his pupils. Zhao Gao's heart hammered against his ribs. Tremble, he quickly lowered his head, not daring to look up, his mind reeling like a storm-tossed sea. How many years had it been? How many years since His Majesty had shown such astonishment? He never lost his composure before his subjects, but now, he'd made an exception. An exception because of the little immortal. Zhao Gao couldn't help but suck in a sharp breath. Hiss, but he didn't dare hesitate, quickly bowing even lower. "Why, Your Majesty, this news came directly from Generals Bai Qi and Wang Jian. Through the net blood letter intelligence system. There's absolutely no mistake. They saw it with their own eyes," the report SS says. "The million-strong Heavenly Wolf army condensed the Heavenly Wolf soul, but..." Zhao Gao spoke rapidly, but Ying Zheng couldn't wait. Whoosh! He snatched the intelligence scroll from Zhao Gao's hand, his eyes scanning 10 lines at a glance. The more he read, the wider his eyes grew, the shock in them deepening with every word. Finally, he didn't even notice when the scroll slipped from his grasp. Thump. Zhao Gao scrambled to pick it up, completely understanding the Emperor's seismic shock. When Zhao Gao himself had first received the report, his first reaction had been his knees buckling. Wobble. He'd literally gone weak-kneed from fright, needing a servant girl's support to keep from collapsing. It took him a good while to recover enough to rush here and inform the first Emperor. Ha! Wiping out 1,000,000 soldiers with a wave of his hand. Does such a monstrous person truly exist in this world? The Immortal Tao. Is it really that unfathomable, beyond mortal comprehension? This was the first time the first Emperor had been this profoundly shaken. Unlike before, no matter how powerful Ning Changge had seemed, it had still been within the realm of comprehension. But this level of strength, it completely shattered his imagination. Once something was beyond his control, once that feeling of having everything planned, everything within his grasp, vanished. The first Emperor seemed little different from an ordinary man caught in a storm. 100,000 star sword cheese, 3,000 pagoda sword cheese, annihilating 1,000,000 soldiers, without a shred of mercy. Such strength and audacity stunned even the first Emperor. A wry, bitter smile touched his lips. Ha! Sigh, it seems I still underestimated this little immortal. I originally thought with his skills he could at most escape unscathed. I was even planning for Wang Jian and Bai Qi to offer some timely aid. But I never ever expected. Slams fist lightly on the armrest. He defies all worldly logic, one man against 1,000,000, and he won. Annihilated them. A monster, truly an unparalleled monster, the likes of which haven't been seen in ages. The first Emperor shook his head repeatedly. He had to admit he'd misjudged badly. With such strength, Ning Changge was practically equivalent to a highly mobile elite army of 1,000,000. One man worth 1,000,000, and one who could appear anywhere at any time. The threat level was maxed out. You could say, this was truly one man against a nation. And worse, the report also stated that in a few days, Ning Changge intended to go to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital to behead Temujin. At this thought, gravity and deep apprehension clouded Yin Zheng's eyes. Regardless of whether this little immortal was genuinely confident or just bluffing, the sheer power demonstrated by annihilating 1,000,000 soldiers was undeniable. Unlike Bai Qi's earlier speculation that the dynasties might unite against Wudeng, Yin Zheng instantly discarded that notion. He knew Ning Changge had already established himself. What could the combined might of dynasties do now? Could they gather 10,000,000 elite soldiers to crush Wudeng? That wasn't realistic. Even if they destroyed Wudeng, Ning Changge could roam free, becoming an even greater menace. The first Emperor saw it clearly. He had to stick to his original decision. The little immortal could only be befriended. Pass down the order. Tell the two generals to closely monitor the situation in the Mongol Yuan capital. The Ren 2 army is not to withdraw yet. Have them encamp 100 li outside Wudeng. If anyone dares to target Wudeng while the little immortal is away, they are to block them, absolutely. Yin Zheng commanded, his voice heavy. Zhao Gao trembled internally, his awe for the little immortal reaching its peak. Gulp. When had he ever seen the first Emperor treat someone from the Jianghu with such deference? It was all dictated by the little immortal's strength. With enough power, even the emperors of the 9 provinces had to yield. He could see it. The first Emperor was placing his bet early. He didn't even need to wait for the outcome in the Mongol capital. He was already certain Ning Changge's ascent was unstoppable. This servant obeys. The first Emperor gazed towards the horizon, his expression complex, murmuring to himself, the 9 provinces are entering a new era, aren't they? He could foresee it. Regardless of the outcome this time, as long as Ning Changge returned unharmed from the Mongol capital, the status of Wudeng and Ning Changge would skyrocket. They would ascend from a mere Jianghu sacred ground to a level capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with the major dynasties. Even if Ning Changge truly beheaded Temujin, then Wudeng and Ning Changge would hang high above the 9 provinces, becoming a unique, special existence, surpassing the dynasties themselves. At that thought, even the first Emperor couldn't help but shudder, a flicker of dread in his eyes. Temujin has gathered the Imperial Dao's qi for a long time, and he has the Imperial Guard and the dynasty's fortune protecting him. The little immortal. He can't possibly kill him. Right, for some reason, his usual self-confidence wavered for the first time. Great Ming, Imperial capital. The atmosphere within the palace was incredibly stifling. Palace maids and eunuchs walked on eggshells, terrified of causing trouble. Everyone knew that the Son of Heaven was suppressing a volcano of rage, and perhaps even fear. Zhu Huzhao stared intently at the map of his territories, his expression terrifyingly dark. "Useless, trash, all of them," his voice a low, dangerous growl. "What heavenly wolf army? Steppe wolves? Just a pile of garbage. A grand army of 1,000,000, wiped out by one man? Ha, what a joke!" His mind was a raging sea as he cursed inwardly. Though the words weren't spoken aloud, the subtle twitching of his facial muscles betrayed the tempest within. The Imperial study felt like it was under immense pressure right before a violent storm, making it hard to even breathe. The head eunuch kept his head bowed low, not daring to raise it. He knew the Emperor was scared, shiver. As a trusted confidant, he knew about the Ming Emperor's schemes against Wudang over the past months. In the last year alone, dozens of secret letters had flown back and forth with the Mongol Yuan, involving various exchanges of benefits. He had even personally escorted Mongol envoys to meet the Ming Emperor. He knew the Emperor had invested heavily in plotting for Wudang's immortal methods, but he never expected this outcome. The Mongol Yuan's million-strong heavenly wolf army, slaughtered, and all by one person. That little immortal had displayed earth-shattering power, stunning everyone. Even though he had relied on Wudang's sword formation foundation, it still left innumerable people absolutely horrified. "Why, Your Majesty?" the head eunuch began, voice trembling like a leaf. The little immortal Ning Changge, although he destroyed the 1,000,000 heavenly wolf soldiers, he did rely heavily on the power of the circumventing stars formation sword array. According to the Brocade Guard's intelligence, both the star sword cheese and the pagoda sword cheese originated from the formation. Alone, the little immortal, P probably doesn't possess such immense power. The head eunuch tried his best to soothe the Emperor, his voice barely above a whisper. Zhu Huzhao spun around, his face so dark it looked like ink might drip from it. "HMPH, do you think? A figure like Ning Changge looks like an idiot. If he wasn't confident, why would he go to the Mongol Yuan imperial capital alone?" The head eunuch immediately kowtowed hard. Thud. "This slave wouldn't dare, and no. It's just, this slave thought. Perhaps we shouldn't view him as too terrifying. Our great Ming is powerful and prosperous. How can the Mongol Yuan compare? Armies like the Heavenly Wolf. Our great Ming has plenty. Besides, this time, we didn't directly attack Wudang," he added cautiously. Zhu Huzhao snorted coldly. "Do I need you to teach me?" However, his tone relaxed slightly. His expression shifted from stormy to grave as he considered carefully. Honestly, when he first got the news, he'd been stunned for a long time, even feeling a sliver of terror, annihilating 1,000,000 soldiers. And he himself had been making sneaky moves against such a character. If Ning Changge decided to pursue the matter, there would definitely be friction. But he was, after all, the Emperor of the Great Ming, ruling over vast lands, surrounded by capable officials and fierce generals, protected by elite armies. There was no reason to fear a mere Jianghu martial artist. HMPH. No matter how terrifying the immortal Tao is, even if he can fight 1,000,000 alone, I refuse to believe he can come to my imperial capital and kill me. Zhu Huzhao sneered. The incredibly dense imperial dragon chi surrounding him significantly restored his confidence. Pass down the orders. Mobilize the Golden Dragon Army and the Fire Phoenix Army into the capital. Strengthen the Imperial Guard's defenses. Recall all the Land Immortals serving the Imperial Court. Keep a very close eye on the Mongol Yuan capital. Report any intelligence immediately. The head eunuch bowed respectfully. This servant obeys. He then asked carefully, Your Majesty, with Ning Changge going to the Mongol capital, Wudang will be vulnerable. Should we? Zhu Huzhao pondered for a moment, then said coldly, Ning Changge wouldn't overlook that. He's likely left traps, waiting for someone foolish enough to try. Just wait quietly. See how things unfold in the Mongol capital, then we'll decide our next move. A complex flicker appeared in his eyes. He never imagined he'd one day be forced into such a corner by a Jianghu martial artist. Though he verbally dismissed the threat, if he truly didn't care, why would he mobilize his ace armies into the capital? He knew his alliance with the Mongol Yuan wasn't a perfect secret. If the Mongol Yuan truly suffered disaster, the Great Ming probably wouldn't fare much better. At this moment, a faint trace of regret crept into Zhu Huzhao's heart. But there was no turning back now. He could only hope Temujin could hold out. Then the outcome wouldn't be too bad. Mongol Yuan imperial capital. The air was thick with tension, as if a colossal storm was brewing within. Everyone knew. The sky had fallen. Faces displayed a chaotic mix of grief, rage, fear, shock, and frenzy. From the highest nobles to the common folk, everyone felt it. There was a saying in the 9 provinces. The people of the Mongol Yuan, even the most common peasant, carried the blood of savage wolves in their veins. This saying was true. When the news from Wudang's Tianzhu Peak reached the Mongol capital, everyone exploded. 1 million heavenly wolf soldiers, massacred by Wudang's little immortal alone. How utterly world-shattering. Beyond their shock and fear simmered unparalleled fury. Inside the imperial palace, Temujin gazed at the many empty seats below. This battle hadn't just wiped out the million-strong heavenly wolf army, reducing the Mongol Yuan's strength by at least 30%. It had also claimed the lives of 9 Land Immortals, including the top 3 martial experts of the Yuan. While Land Immortals weren't as strategically crucial as large armies, a dynasty couldn't function without them. Losing over a dozen Land Immortals one after another had severely wounded the Mongol Yuan's vitality. Combined with the loss of the Heavenly Wolf army, they risked plummeting from a top-tier dynasty to a second-rate one overnight. And all of this was because of that little immortal from Wudang. "Ha, good, very good, this little immortal hides his claws deep, doesn't he?" Temujin slowly rose, the fury in his eyes almost tangible. The entire capital seemed to feel his wrath. "Kills my son, slaughters 1 million of my people, and now he dares to come to my capital to take my head. Ha, good." Temujin's voice was unbelievably cold, like glacial ice. "Let's see then. Let this emperor see how this little immortal takes my head right in front of my people." Rage contorted the faces of all the ministers. This was an unprecedented humiliation. Since the founding of the Mongol Yuan, relying on their people's wolfish ferocity, they had almost always held the upper hand even when clashing with other dynasties. Even in rare setbacks, they had never suffered such a devastating blow. 1 million soldiers slaughtered, and the killer even demanded their great Khan present his head in apology, the sheer suffocating indignation. "Great Khan, we swear eternal enmity with Wudang. This general volunteers to be the vanguard. I will take Ning Changge's head to console the spirits of the national preceptor and the fallen heroes. Our Mongol Yuan dynasty stands at the peak of the 9 provinces. How can some yellow-mouthed brat threaten us? Since he doesn't know what's good for him, we must show him the true depth of our Mongol Yuan. Insignificant Wudang, a mere Jianghu sect, dares oppose us. They simply don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The national preceptor and the others must have been ambushed. Kill Ning Changge, then annihilate Wudang, avenge the national preceptor and the imperial lord." A crescendo of furious voices rose, eyes blazing with anger. Temujin swept his hand down. Swish, all voices instantly ceased. Temujin knew Ning Changge was powerful and he hadn't used tricks to ambush the Heavenly Wolf army. But so what? He, Temujin, had weathered countless storms. Would he be intimidated by a mere youth? Since he dared to come alone, he should be prepared to be buried in the Mongol capital. Temujin's icy eyes held the pride of a lone wolf. "The entire capital is on alert. After Ning Changge is slain, I will personally lead the campaign to flatten Wudang." A terrifyingly domineering aura erupted from him, his voice spreading throughout the capital via the dynasty's fortune. "My people, if someone invades our Mongol Yuan, what should be done?" All Mongol Yuan citizens paused, then an overwhelming fervor ignited in their eyes. They prostrated themselves, bowing towards the palace, roaring to the heavens. "Exterminate their clan, devour their flesh, seize their women. Exterminate their clan, devour their flesh, seize their women. Exterminate their clan, devour their flesh, seize their women." Waves of sound converged, surging skyward, shaking the clouds. Within the Mongol capital, from nobles to commoners, everyone was consumed by fanaticism. "Kill Ning Changge, devour his flesh and blood, flatten Wudang." Temujin's chilling voice reverberated, pushing the fervor and hatred in everyone's hearts to their absolute peak. From their perspective, Ning Changge was the ultimate unforgivable enemy. They didn't care that they had been the aggressors first. In their worldview, I rob you, that's your honor. You dare resist, I wipe out your entire clan. Within the Mongol capital, everyone shared a common enemy. Every single person harbored immense malice towards Ning Changge. They waited for Ning Changge to arrive so they could kill him, crush his skull, and appease the 1 million souls of the Heavenly Wolf army. Military orders flew out from the capital. Though there were only a few days, it was enough time to gather some forces, which was part of Temujin's confidence. He stared towards Wudang, his eyes glacial. Dynasty rulers reeled in shock. Heroes from all over converged on the Mongol capital, eager to witness the continuation of this saga. They wanted to see with their own eyes the arrival of a new era in the 9 provinces. In just a few days, countless experts entered Mongol Yuan territory. Ordinary people lacked the means. Only grandmasters or heavenman realm experts even had the qualification to observe. Otherwise, they couldn't even evade the Yuan soldiers. Anticipation filled the hearts of these martial experts. Meanwhile, atop Wudang's Tianzhu Peak, Ning Changge's eyes snapped open. FWOOM. A pillar of blood-red light pierced the heavens, shocking all of Wudang. That pillar teemed with overwhelming baleful aura, chilling to the core. Inside the scripture pavilion, joy and complexity intertwined in Ning Changge's eyes. Before him floated a small, black-red banner, wreathed in monstrous blood chi. Refined from the essence of 1,000,000 lives, supplemented with countless spiritual materials, an extremely powerful spiritual artifact had been created in just a few days. Let's call you the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner, Ning Changge murmured. Artifacts have no inherent good or evil. Their nature depends on their use, though your materials are, certainly harmful to heavenly harmony. If used righteously, you can be righteous. As long as I maintain my true heart, it's acceptable. The complexity in Ning Changge's eyes gradually faded. He slowly stood up. Everything was ready. It was time to head to the Mongol capital and settle things. Ning Changge stood up. With a simple beckoning gesture, the black-red Doomsday Blood Fiend banner transformed into a streak of blood light and zipped into his dantian. In a way, this was his first offensive spiritual artifact outside of his usual 5-element spirit swords. Sure, the Mountains River's spirit gathering furnace could be used for attack, but its main gig was alchemy and refining. This Doomsday Blood Fiend banner, though, it could unleash blasts of Blood Fiend light, designed to corrupt an enemy's artifacts and mana, even directly snuff out the spirituality within artifacts. Nasty piece of work, really. Of course, right now, Ning Changge was pretty much the only immortal cultivator kicking around the 9 provinces, so its full potential against other cultivators wasn't exactly obvious yet. For Ning Changge, its biggest immediate use was messing with army formations. The banner was literally forged from the essence of 1,000,000 souls and bodies. Its blood fiend aura was off the charts. Army souls, on the other hand, rely on the linked baleful aura, Sha Qi of soldiers. So the banner's blood fiend light could weaken those army souls, maybe even shatter them outright. Smirks. A small smile touched Ning Changge's lips. He was confident about this little trip to the Mongol Yuan capital, sure, but a bit of extra prep never hurt anyone. Makes things easier, right? He never underestimated opponents, always had multiple backup plans. He slowly stepped out of the scripture pavilion. Zhang Sanfeng and the others were already waiting, having clearly seen that pillar of blood light when the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner was completed. They knew Ning Changge had achieved something new, and they knew it was time for him to head to the Mongol Yuan capital. Changge, Zhang Sanfeng began, his voice laced with genuine concern. Please be careful. The Mongol Yuan is one of the absolute top dynasties in the 9 provinces. They might have hidden trump cards we don't know about. That imperial Dao Qi isn't something to sneeze at, and there's always been that saying. No 9 provinces emperor is weak, his brow furrowed with worry. Ning Changge just smiled and nodded reassuringly, chuckles softly. Master, really don't worry. After today, the world will learn that dynasties aren't invincible either. His words were spoken calmly, almost casually, but the meaning behind them sent a jolt through everyone present. Their eyes gradually filled with fiery anticipation. The sheer confidence, the audacity. Good, then we'll wait right here on Wudang for your good news, Changge. Zhang Sanfeng finally managed, a proud smile spreading across his face. Ning Changge nodded with a smile. Then he stepped onto the divine condor's back. Whoosh! The condor flexed its wings, and in an instant they became a streak of azure gold light disappearing over the horizon. The condor was blindingly fast now. Ning Changge couldn't be bothered to fly himself when he had such a ride, and there was plenty of time anyway. Everyone watched the shrinking figures of Ning Changge and the condor vanish from Wudang's view. Stunned into silence for a moment, Song Yuanqiao's voice eventually broke the quiet, hesitant, and uncertain. Do you guys really think Junior brother can actually destroy the Mongol capital, make Temujin lose his head? Huang Rong was the first to respond, nodding firmly without a shred of doubt. Absolutely, he will, clench his fists. Feeling the spiritual energy slowly gathering within her own body, her eyes shone with boundless adoration. Only after truly starting to touch upon the immortal Tao did one realize just how terrifyingly powerful it was. These past few days, Ning Changge had already begun experimenting with the popularization of cultivation techniques on Huangrong. She was likely one of the people in the world who best understood just how frightening Ning Changge could be. The others glanced at her, then burst into laughter, ha-ha-ha, their earlier uncertainty replaced by overwhelming confidence in Ning Changge, Mongol Yuan imperial capital. In just a few short days, this once opulent city, full of music and dance, had transformed, now thick with a chilling, murderous aura. The Mongol Yuan's capital could unleash astonishing power when cornered. Rows upon rows of soldiers guarded the city walls. The remaining hundreds of thousands of the Heavenly Wolf army had all been recalled, bolstered by several other massive armies. In such a short time, nearly 3 million soldiers had been gathered. 3 million. It was a testament to the Mongol Yuan's terrifying strength. A power that would make most other dynasties in the 9 provinces break out in a cold sweat. On one side of the Mongol capital, a huge crowd of Jianghu figures had gathered. Soldiers watched them warily like hawks, preventing any trouble. HMPH. After Ning Changge's declaration, far too many people had rushed here to spectate. Grandmasters were practically common, Heaven-Man realm experts were everywhere, and there were even numerous Land Immortals. You couldn't stop this many experts. Even if you could, it would drain a significant portion of the Mongol Yuan's attention and resources. So, Temujin had ultimately decided, let them come. Let these Jianghu folk watch. He would execute Ning Changge publicly right before the eyes of the world, chop him up, grind his bones to dust. GRRRRR. Only then could he vent the hatred in his heart. Only by stomping this impudent challenger into the dirt could he show the 9 provinces that the Mongol Yuan dynasty was still all-powerful, not to be trifled with by just anyone. And that led to this scene. A massive gathering of Jianghu spectators. Right now, these martial arts masters stood clustered together, all eyes fixed expectantly on the distant horizon. Today was the 7th day Ning Changge had set. Many of them had arrived 3 days ago, afraid they might miss him if he came early. This event, it was arguably the biggest spectacle in recent years, even more dramatic than the Tao Buddhist war back then. Because this was an individual challenging imperial authority itself. Many martial artists felt a thrill, a burning passion. If Ning Changge succeeded, it meant the 9 provinces would truly enter a new era. Dynasties might not seem so terrifying anymore. Even many old powerhouses, secluded for years, had shown up. Old sword god Li Chengang's eyes looked cloudy, but deep within that cloudiness, an infinitesimally sharp glint brewed. He couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Ha! To think I haven't been out in decades, and the 9 provinces has produced such a stunningly brilliant figure. Truly, each generation brings forth its own geniuses. Ah! His words resonated with many other old-timers. They'd gone into seclusion for maybe 10, 20 years, and came out to find. The entire 9 provinces seemed to have changed. Wah! One person could slaughter 1 million soldiers, and then dare to challenge imperial power itself. The sheer audacity. Back in their day, even the absolute peak martial artists could only make dynasties wary, and usually only the supremely powerful loner types at that. HMPH. Like the peerless Green Lotus sword immortal who roamed undefeated 3,000 years ago. And after these old masters learned more about Ning Changge's deeds, they were even more shocked. The Immortal Tao, a cultivation system completely different from martial arts. Every single one of them burned with curiosity, which was why they'd rushed to the Mongol Yuan capital. One after another, the old powerhouses murmured their thoughts. In the distance, Xianxia's figure seemed somewhat ethereal. His gaze was fixed intently on the horizon, heavy with thought. He'd learned about Ning Changge during the Tao Buddhist war a year ago when he briefly emerged. He'd planned to visit Wudang eventually, but wasn't in a rush. He traveled slowly, but before he even got close to Wudang, he heard the unbelievable rumors. Ning Changge annihilating 1 million soldiers before Tianzhu Peak. This person, is he truly that terrifying? For the first time, a tremor of genuine shock ran through Xianxia. He had lived for 4,000 years. His power could shake heaven and earth. Even ancient monsters reincarnated from distant eras didn't frighten him, but after learning more and more about Ning Changge, he had to admit he wasn't confident. NGH. Xianxia had run the scenario in his head. If he faced the million-strong Heavenly Wolf army, he likely couldn't replicate Ning Changge's feat. Impossible. Although the rumors say he relied on a powerful formation he set up, his own strength must still be outrageous. But we'll have to see how today's battle plays out. His brow furrowed deeper. Instinctively, Xianxia resisted believing someone that powerful could exist. And the key point? This kid was only 12 years old. Compared to his own 4,000-year lifespan, 12 years wasn't even a rounding error. He couldn't fathom how Ning Changge could possess such horrifying strength in such a short time. Everyone waited in silence. High above, clouds gathered, the atmospheric phenomena shifting constantly. This was the result of too many powerful soldiers and martial artists congregating, altering the very weather. The Mongol Yuan capital had become saturated with a grim, killing aura. Time trickled by. The golden crow, the sun, began its descent. But Ning Changge still hadn't appeared. A slight restlessness stirred among the crowd. Where is he? HMPH, if Ning Changge doesn't show up today, I will personally lead the army to flatten Wudang. I'll imprison every last disciple for generations, make them suffer endlessly. His voice was dangerously low. If after all this preparation they were stood up, the Mongol Yuan would undoubtedly become the laughingstock of the 9 provinces. No, a humiliation that could only be washed away with blood. Everyone felt the icy killing intent rolling off Emperor Temujin. Even the distant Jianghu spectators felt a chill. Some couldn't help but mutter nervously, don't tell me the little immortal really bilayed. The thought had barely formed when suddenly, screech. A sharp, piercing cry echoed from the heavens, penetrating everything. All eyes snapped upwards, widening in unison. Far in the distance, an azure gold streak of light approached with impossible speed, growing larger by the second. Whoosh! When the azure gold light drew near, everyone saw it. A peerlessly majestic divine condor soared through the sky, its wings like forged gold, shimmering with wisps of azure wind. It already possessed a touch of the legendary golden-winged Great Peng from myths, inspiring awe and shock. Whoa! And upon the condor's back stood a young Taoist, handsome as a banished immortal. He wore simple black and white Taoist robes, his expression aloof, his eyes seeming to contain entire galaxies, exuding an utterly transcendent aura. Damn, he stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his gaze casually drifting downwards, yet it was enough to make hearts tremble, making it impossible to meet his eyes directly. Everyone knew. The little immortal. He's here, countless fervent gazes locked onto Ning Changge. Even those who had just emerged from seclusion and had never seen him before knew instantly that this had to be the legendary little immortal whose power reached the heavens. Li Chunggang's eyes filled with admiration. Tusk. Hearing about him is one thing, seeing him is another. This little immortal's bearing, truly peerless. Xianxia's gaze froze, fixed intently on Ning Changge. The moment Ning Changge appeared, Xianxia felt an immense sense of danger. Radiating from Ning Changge, he could almost see the boundless power of heaven and earth converging upon him, as if Ning Changge was the very center of the universe. Gulp, the immortal Tao, is it truly this dreadful? Xianxia's heart sank. Meanwhile, atop the city wall, Temujin slowly rose to his feet. He glared at Ning Changge, a cold, cruel smile twisting his lips. Ha, very good, you actually dared to come alone. Guess you have some backbone after all. Ning Changge remained standing on the divine condor, hands behind his back, meeting Temujin's gaze across the void. Temujin's eyes were icy, Ning Changge's were merely indifferent, like looking down at a colony of ants. There was no doubt there would be no peaceful resolution today. For Ning Changge, the Mongol Yuan sending an army to Wudang crossed his line. They had to pay the price in blood. For the Mongol Yuan, Ning Changge slaughtered 1 million of their elite soldiers, killed their Land Immortals, and even publicly demanded their emperor's head. This was also a blood feud that could only end in death. The two sides faced off. One side, several million soldiers, tens of millions of citizens. Their combined aura overwhelming. Even Xianxia had to admit he wouldn't dare face such torrential momentum head-on. Nghh, the other side, just one person. What stunned everyone was that Ning Changge, facing tens of millions alone, showed zero signs of fear or stage fright. His gaze remained utterly indifferent, as if truly seeing only ants. The terrifying, combined aura of hatred rolling off the Mongol side washed over him like a gentle spring breeze. Temujin spoke first, his voice dripping with icy killing intent, echoing across the imperial city. You slaughtered 1 million soldiers of my Mongol Yuan, and today you still dare come to my capital. Are you trying to die? Roar. Today, if you offer up your immortal method, perhaps I can grant you the mercy of a whole corpse. Otherwise, first, I'll have you torn limb from limb. Then I'll march on Wudang and turn its people into two-legged sheep, imprisoned for eternity. His words were filled with tyrannical cruelty. The millions of soldiers and subjects beside him were his greatest confidence. His imperial Dao was the Dao of domination. Everyone's expression shifted, but Ning Changge's remained unchanged. He simply spoke Chinese letter, Dan lightly slash indifferently. Looking down at Temujin, it seems you didn't take my words seriously. A pity. The Mongol Yuan has lost its final chance. After today, there will be no more Mongol Yuan in the 9 provinces. His voice was calm, stating it like a simple fact, a stark contrast to Temujin's chilling killing intent. Everyone's eyes bulged. WHWHAT? They couldn't believe what they'd just heard. Ning Changge didn't just want to kill the Yuan emperor. He wanted to wipe out the entire Mongol Yuan dynasty. How utterly staggering. Even Xiao Sengxiao's eyes flashed with shock. Back in the day, to fulfill someone's wish, the most he'd done was sneak them into a palace to be emperor for a day. And that was for a small kingdom, wiping out the Mongol Yuan. A peak 9 provinces dynasty, he wouldn't even dare to think it. Impossible. Insolence. Temujin actually laughed, furious. He hadn't expected Ning Changge to be this arrogant, casually declaring the destruction of a nation. You little. Countless officials glared furiously. The Mongol citizens within the capital roared with uncontrollable rage, the sound waves converging into a tsunami that surged towards the heavens. Kill Ningchangge, slaughter WDNG, RA. Kill Ningchangge, slaughter WDNG. Kill Ningchangge, slaughter WDNG. Death to HIM. The earth-shattering momentum was enough to make anyone tremble. Even Land Immortals facing such overwhelming pressure would feel fear grip their hearts, likely retreating without even fighting. Temujin's icy eyes seemed ready to pierce the sky itself. I'll sit right here today. Let's see how you take my head, how you destroy my Mongol Yuan. HMPH, arrogant child, with a dramatic flourish of his imperial robes. He sat down firmly like a mountain. Thump. Beside him, a middle-aged man with sharp eyes roared towards the sky. All armies. Here am I command. Condense your army souls. Wai. Instantly. The wind and clouds shifted violently. Rumble, crackle. Waves of ferocious, baleful aura and killing intent shot skywards, making the already oppressive atmosphere crushingly heavy. Dark clouds pressed down on the city, threatening to break it. Outside the walls, several massive armies stirred. Nearly 3 million soldiers gathered. While perhaps not quite as elite overall as the original 1,000,000 Heavenly Wolf soldiers, their sheer numbers more than made up for it. Everyone knew Ning Changge had wiped out the 1,000,000 Heavenly Wolf soldiers, but they also knew he'd relied on Wudang's protective formation. Now, facing 3 million soldiers head-on, without his mountain support, how would Ning Changge respond to even reach the imperial city? He first had to break through this army of 3 million. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Thick, blood-red baleful energy surged into the heavens. The Jianghu spectators collectively paled. The sky itself seemed to transform into a sea of blood, pulsing with crimson light. These were veterans, soldiers who had long fought on battlefields, their killing intent far more intense than any Jianghu fighters. Under everyone's horrified gaze, army souls began to coalesce. VMMMM. There was the blood-colored Heavenly Wolf. Condensed from the remnants of the Heavenly Wolf army, there was a giant black divine eagle wreathed in blood aura. There was a massive giant general whose face couldn't be clearly seen. 3 million soldiers, even divided among several commanders, resulted in 4 terrifying army souls materializing, individually. Perhaps each was slightly weaker than the original 1,000,000-strong Heavenly Wolf soul, but 4 of them working together, their combined power was undeniably stronger than the single Heavenly Wolf from before. OHSH, in an instant. The Mongol Yuan capital was utterly saturated with a terrifying, suffocating killing aura. Everyone watched, shaken, even horrified. Their gazes couldn't help but shift back to Ning Changge floating serenely in the sky. How was he going to deal with this? Right now, high above, the Heavenly Wolf, the Divine Eagle, 2 colossal giant generals, they hung in the sky radiating an extreme, suffocating blood fiend aura. 4 army souls condensed from 3 million soldiers, each one pulsed with absolutely terrifying power. VMMM, every single Jianghu onlooker felt a tremor in their soul. THTH this is. The Heavenman realm experts, forget about them. Before such dreadful army souls, they were less than ants. Any random army soul condensed from a mere 100,000 soldiers could crush any Heavenman expert flat. Splat. The real concern was for the Land Immortals. Even they, facing these 4 terrifying army souls, wore grim expressions. NGHH? Old sword god Ning Changge let out a slow breath. Huwu. Back in the Liang dynasty, he had once shattered the armor of 30,000 soldiers with a single sword strike. Swish, clang, his strength ranked extremely high among Land Immortals. Ordinary armies couldn't touch him. But facing this Mongol Yuan army, he felt immense, suffocating pressure. No exaggeration, an army like this could easily turn him into dust. Poof, that was the terrifying might of a dynasty. Ha, the Mongol Yuan's strength is truly formidable, he muttered, awed. Gulp. To think, even after losing 1 million heavenly wolf soldiers, they could still muster such a powerful army in such a short time. Whispers rippled through the crowd. That thought echoed in everyone's mind. The Land Immortals had complicated looks. Damn it! This was the fundamental reason why the Jianghu bowed to the imperial court. Even the strongest Land Immortal couldn't possibly fight against such army souls. Unless maybe dozens of them teamed up, and even then it'd just be a sliver of hope. Maybe. Xianxia's gaze remained locked onto Ning Changge. What's he gonna do? He had to know Ning Changge's plan. Coming to the Mongol capital alone. Was it genuine confidence or some other scheme? Because honestly, he himself, facing this army, could at best manage a retreat. Swoosh. Defeating them, utterly impossible. No way, everyone knew. This was Ning Changge's first major hurdle. To even set foot in the Mongol capital, he had to break through these 3 million soldiers first. All eyes were fixed on Ning Changge, but his expression, still utterly unchanged. Calm. Too calm, he'd considered all sorts of possibilities when he set out. 3 million soldiers, still within his calculated range. HMMPH, in fact, it was exactly what he'd predicted. Heh. Using his lesser heavenly calculation art and lesser causality art together, nearly foolproof. This trip might have a few bumps, sure, but nothing major. Easy peasy. Feeling the murderous gazes pouring from Temujin and every single Mongol Yuan citizen below, Ning Changge finally made his move. It's time. Everyone stared, dumbfounded. What's he whoosh? Ning Changge simply waved his hand. A streak of black-red light shot skywards. It was a small, black-red banner. Its material looked incredibly strange, not gold, not wood, not stone, not jade. When it first appeared, it was palm-sized, but in the blink of an eye, F-woom. It expanded to over 100 zhang, roughly 330 meters / 1,090 feet long. A dense, overwhelming blood fiend aura surged towards the heavens, shocking everyone. Who. This oppressive aura was no less intense than the combined might of the 3 million soldiers opposite him. Impossible. The 100 zhang doomsday blood fiend banner fluttered, dominating the sky, a truly staggering sight. Every time the banner rippled, waves of thick blood fiend light pulsed outwards. People couldn't help but swallow nervously, stammering, what is that? Gulp, they'd never seen anything like it. In the Jianghu, sure, there were divine sabers, divine swords, all sorts of weird weapons. But a blood banner like this, pretty much unheard of, never seen this. Even Xianxia was startled. He'd lived 4,000 years, seen countless treasures, but never anything like this. This is the strangeness of the immortal Tao? His eyes widened. Without a doubt, this was a treasure completely outside the martial arts system. Xianxia's eyes filled with intense curiosity. He already knew Ning Changge's immortal Tao involved refining the power of heaven and earth into himself. He was incredibly eager to see exactly what kind of bizarre abilities this immortal Tao held. Show me. All eyes watched intently. This banner is called the Doomsday Blood Fiend Banner. It was refined from the blood essence of your Mongol Yuan's million heavenly wolf soldiers. Ning Changge's voice echoed calmly. Today I shall use it to break your Mongol Yuan army. A simple statement of fact. Gasp. A wave of stunned murmurs rippled through the crowd. He what? Refined from the blood of 1 million heavenly wolf soldiers. What audacious, monstrous craftsmanship. Unbelievable. Looking at that massive black-red banner, people could almost feel the bloody storms trapped within, hear the countless wails and enraged roars, the terrified screams. Shivers crawled down their spines. Yeeks! This was no ordinary treasure. As for the Mongol Yuan people, their reaction was pure, unadulterated fury. Grrrrrrrrrh. This treasure was forged from the blood of their countrymen. How dare he? Inside the Mongol capital, roars of anger erupted everywhere. Many relatives of the million slain Heavenly Wolf soldiers lived in the capital. Seeing this banner now, grief and rage tore through their hearts. "My son, my husband. Butcher," they screamed. "Kill Him, we must kill Him. Use his flesh and blood to appease the million souls of our Heavenly Wolf army." "Kill, kill, kill." Waves upon waves of furious shouts crashed together. Temujin's eyes blazed with icy rage as he stared at the blood fiend banner forged from his soldier's very essence. He snapped, "That's it. Good, very good, you've succeeded in enraging this emperor." His voice was dangerously low, teeth gritted. "You achieved your goal, but you will pay the price for it. Oh, you will. Where are my brave warriors? Slay this man for me. Now," he roared, pointing a trembling finger at Ning Changge. Outside the city walls, thunderous roars answered him, shaking the heavens. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" Rumble, rumble. The already terrifying killing intent of the blood fiend army souls surged even higher. A commanding general roared, urging the army souls forward. "Geo!" The 4 dreadful army souls lunged towards Ning Changge, perched serenely on the divine condor. "Attack!" The blood-colored heavenly wolf howled towards the sky, looking like it could swallow the sun and moon. "AWO!" It snarled, claws extended, and spat a thick pillar of blood light, chilling to the bone. "FWOSH." Any ordinary Land Immortal caught in that baleful aura would have their true power suppressed to less than 10%. "Weak!" The black divine eagle shrieked, spreading its wings, wide as mountain peaks, each feather edge honed to an extreme sharpness by solidified baleful aura. SCREE. It aimed to slice Ning Changge clean in two, slice. And the 2 indistinct giant generals, shrouded in baleful mist though slightly slower, were no less imposing. Thump, thump. One wielded a spear, the other a glaive, both weapons condensed from pure baleful aura radiating deadly intent. They attacked from the left and right. Stab, slash. The 4 army souls moved as one. Their combined might truly shook heaven and earth. Everyone was utterly stunned. Incredible power, just their initial movement was earth-shattering, far stronger than when they had first condensed moments ago. So strong. Even Ning Changge felt slightly suffocated. His expression was complex. This was a peak that Wudang experts found incredibly difficult to reach. Sigh. Throughout the history of 9 provinces' martial arts, sure, there were legends of Land Immortals with boundless power, but those who truly reached this level. Across 10,000 years, you could probably count them on 2 hands. Maybe. They were generational figures who dominated entire eras, but look at armies. Any major dynasty could eventually muster an elite army of 1 million. Which was superior? The answer was obvious. Damn dynasties. Everyone stared blankly, watching in a daze as the 4 army souls, carrying world-ending baleful aura, charged towards Ning Changge. He's doomed. If they were in his place, they'd probably be scared senseless already. Run. Yet Ning Changge, still completely unfazed. Heh. A sense of admiration rose in everyone's hearts. Regardless of the outcome, just this level of mental fortitude was far beyond ordinary people. So cool as all eyes converged. Ning Changge's hands formed a series of seals. Flicker. The next moment, the massive doomsday blood fiend banner hanging in the sky finally moved. VMMMMMMMM. A soft hum seemed to ripple through the world. Under everyone's intense gaze, the doomsday blood fiend banner trembled slightly. Instantly, a wave of blood-colored ripples spread outwards. Whoosh, VMM, VMM, VMM. The ripples intensified, and then everyone froze, jaws slack. Wah! The blood-red ripples surged, wave after wave, instantly passing through the 4 incredibly imposing army souls. The army souls, which had been charging ferociously towards Ning Changge, suddenly stiffened. Their lightning speed slowed to a crawl, slew motion. That bizarre change. It was like they'd suddenly plunged into thick swamp mud. They could barely move, and can't move. In an instant, their overwhelming momentum plummeted, pathetic. Ning Changge's hands flashed through another seal. Zip. The doomsday blood fiend banner swayed. Whoosh, flutter, flutter. A beam of blood fiend light shot downwards, aimed directly at the blood-colored heavenly wolf leading the charge. Zap. Boom. The blood fiend light beam slammed into the pillar of blood spat out by the heavenly wolf. A deafening explosion echoed. KOM. The blood fiend light was clearly far superior. With unstoppable momentum, it shattered the wolf's blood pillar shatter, and then swept across the wolf's body itself. ZZZZZZZZT. Horrible sizzling sounds filled the air. The once majestic blood-colored heavenly wolf instantly became riddled with holes, looking utterly wretched and pathetic. Ow! Pathetic whimper. Everyone's eyes bulged. No way. They could clearly sense the heavenly wolf army soul's form becoming unstable. It's fading, being hit by that blood fiend light. It was like striking a vital point of the army soul. The general commanding the remnant heavenly wolf army was horrified. Temujin's eyes narrowed sharply. Impossible. What in the hell is that thing? He hissed through clenched teeth. His hand instinctively gripped the armrest of his throne tighter. The eerie power of the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner made him uneasy. This isn't good. But this was obviously just the beginning. Heh heh. A faint smile played on Ning Changge's lips. The Doomsday Blood Fiend banner. Yeah, it was kinda similar to those demonic artifacts from cultivation novels in his past life. Corrupting mana, destroying artifacts. While its primary function wasn't usable here, it still worked wonders against army formations and army souls. Very effective. One beam nearly dispersed the heavenly wolf army soul. Pretty damn effective, yeah, smirks. At this moment, the Black Divine Eagle and the two giant generals were still struggling forward through the blood-red waves. They were getting closer. RAAH. The soldiers roared to the heavens, pouring every last scrap of their baleful aura into their respective army souls. More power, Ning Changge's hand seals changed again. Flick the next instant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Doomsday Blood Fiend banner swayed repeatedly. 3 more beams of Blood Fiend light shot down, targeting the remaining 3 army souls. Take this, boom, rumble, boom. The seemingly ethereal Blood Fiend light beams struck with the weight of mountains. When they landed on the army souls, the impact was immense. Crunch. The Divine Eagle shrieked, its razor-sharp wing feathers corroded and snapped by the blood light. SCREE snap. The 2 giant generals swung their condensed weapons, trying to block, but the blood light slammed into them, shattering the spear and glaive instantly. Crack, baleful energy scattered everywhere. Poof. The 3 army souls had charged forward fast, but they retreated even faster. Whoosh, bam, 4 beams of blood fiend light descended. And the 4 army souls, which had moments ago possessed world-shaking momentum, were instantly swept back, knocked flying. Their auras weakened drastically. Even their very forms seemed to flicker on the verge of dissipating. Nuo. Everyone stared at this scene in utter shock. How? Mouths hung wide open. Ah, these were 4 army souls condensed from 3 million soldiers. Any single one of them could likely suppress almost every Land Immortal present. Maybe only someone like Xianxia could put up a bit of a fight. Only maybe, and now, Ning Changge facing all 4 alone had easily forced them back. So easily, the difference in power was unbelievably vast. Mind blown, while they'd expected Ning Changge to have some confidence, daring to come alone to the Mongol capital. Nobody expected him to handle it so effortlessly, like it was nothing, just whipping out a single blood banner. And it had this much power? What? This little immortal. He truly is exactly like the rumors. No, wait. He's even more heaven-defying than the rumors say, stammered Ning Changge dazedly. He'd just come out of seclusion. This was the first time he'd actually seen Ning Changge fight, and the very first move had completely stunned him. I have no words. Jianghu rumors usually exaggerated things, right? But when it came to Ning Changge, people subconsciously downplayed it because Ning Changge's various abilities were just too astonishing, beyond belief, far away. Wu Wudi watched everything silently, forcefully suppressing the surging battle intent rising within him. NGH, hold back. His eyes were glued to Ning Changge's figure, burning with intensity, so strong. He too had only recently emerged. In the Central Plains, he was considered practically invincible. Though he hadn't been famous for long, only the last century or so, even Land Immortals had fallen to him. HMPH. After leaving seclusion, he'd originally planned to head east to Martial Emperor City to challenge that Martial Emperor. But then he heard about Ning Changge and immediately changed course to come here. Must see this. High above, the battle raged on. The 4 army souls being knocked back clearly wasn't the end. Not over yet. Behind them stood their emperor, their capital city. They couldn't retreat. Never. Kill. RAA. Heaven-shaking roars erupted again. The army souls began to solidify once more, but the commanding generals realized with horror. The recondensed army souls were noticeably weaker than before, by about 10%. What? No, in other words, that sweep of blood fiend light had permanently weakened the army soul's power by 1/10, just like that. The generals looked up at that terrifying blood banner with dread. They started shouting frantically, "Destroy that blood banner first! Get it!" The 4 army souls surged upwards again, trailing streaks of blood-red light, carrying an incredibly terrifying, baleful aura. Charge, a curve appeared on Ning Changge's lips. Heh, His hand seals shifted once more, flicker, then, under the horrified gazes of the Mongol generals. W8, what's he doing? The 100 Zhang Doomsday Blood Fiend banner shuddered violently. VMMMMMMMMM. An overwhelming tide of blood light cascaded downwards, forming a massive blood-colored screen. FWOSH. It completely enveloped all 4 army souls, trapped, unlike the scattered 4 beams before. That was just a small taste. This was the main course. Let's feast. The Blood Fiend banner danced continuously, flutter, flutter. Beam after beam of blood light erupted, mana surged, its power unparalleled. Zap, 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 the army souls roared in defiance. The wolf howled, the eagle shrieked. The giant generals let out muffled bellows, RAARGH. All 4 unleashed their attacks simultaneously. Waves of baleful killing intent slammed against the blood screen. Bam, 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 but they couldn't break through its envelopment. Impossible. The Doomsday Blood Fiend banner was born from their essence. They were, in a way, from the same source. But there was one crucial difference. The power contained within the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner was fundamentally higher level. It was a complete dimensional beatdown. The army souls naturally stood no chance. No match, rumble, boom, crack, bloodlight intertwined. Tremors constantly shook the heavens under the shocked and horrified gazes of the crowd. Slice. The heavenly wolf's head was severed by the bloodlight. Ow-woe thud. Snap. The divine eagle's wings were torn off at the roots. Scree-flop. Squelch. The giant generals were pierced through the heart by beams of blood light. Erg-thump. After a fierce struggle, all 4 army souls were defeated simultaneously. And this time, even their core forms were torn apart. RIIP. HISSSSSSSSSSS. A collective gasp sucked the air out of the world. This scene was simply too shocking. It was like watching an adult effortlessly beat up toddlers. Brutal. Down Bayo, the 3 million Mongol Yuan soldiers all spat blood simultaneously. Fear filled their eyes. The generals felt a primal terror rising within them, facing the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner. They felt an instinctive dread. Scary. Temujin's expression was frozen solid, icy cold. His hand, unbeknownst to him, had crushed the armrest of his throne. Crack, deep within his eyes, a trace of utter disbelief flickered. And no, it can't be. One person's strength could truly reach such a level. Impossible, right? He remained silent, but a chilling thought began to form in his mind. Perhaps today really was the critical moment for the life or death of the Mongol Yuan dynasty. From this moment on, he dared not underestimate Ning Changge in the slightest anymore. Never again. Who said Ning Changge needed the circumventing stars formation sword array to fight 1 million soldiers? Idiots, even without the formation. Ning Changge's strength was equally, utterly, terrifyingly shocking. All eyes turned towards him, filled with reverence and awe. Amazing. The Mongol Yuan army souls tried to rise again. But this time, the soldiers discovered with horror. The reformed souls didn't even reach 50% of their peak strength. NOOOO, so weak. The Blood Fiend banner, specifically designed to cripple army formation baleful aura. By now, the soldiers' faces were pale, their bodies drained. They couldn't muster any more baleful energy. Empty. Ning Changge looked down indifferently at the 3 million soldiers spread out below him, like looking at ants. Insignificant. He pointed a single finger downwards. Point. Whoosh. The Blood Fiend banner took the initiative. It transformed into a massive streak of bloodlight, positioning itself directly above the 3 million soldiers. The next instant, FWOOM. A heaven-encompassing screen of blood light descended, completely covering the entire 3 million-strong army. It carried an incredibly thick, nauseating stench of blood. The killing intent within it was palpable, undisguised. Uh-oh. Everyone watched, horrified, chilled to the bone. What is he doing? Ning Changge intended to refine these 3 million soldiers, alive. NOOO. Everyone stared in horror at the scene unfolding. Endless blood light diffused, blanketing the 3 million soldiers below. The overwhelming stench of gore hanging in the air was like witnessing a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood slowly materialize before their eyes, utterly staggering. Sickening. Before, when people heard about Ning Changge slaughtering the million heavenly wolf soldiers at Tianzhu Peak, it was just an abstract concept. But seeing a similar scene about to replay right in front of them, the impact was undeniable. Visceral. This is real. Gulp, gulp. The sound of people swallowing nervously echoed across the suddenly silent battlefield. All eyes were fixed, stunned, on that handsome figure in the black and white Taoist robes. Ning Changge's face remained utterly impassive, inspiring a deep, chilling awe in everyone. This young man didn't just possess a transcendent. Immortal-like aura, he also made it terrifyingly clear that his bottom line was not to be crossed. Don't mess with this guy, otherwise. The response would be swift, devastating. Like a thunderclap, zap. This child's disposition, truly unheard of in this world. Xianxia's eyes held a complex mix of emotions. The recent memory of the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner effortlessly sweeping away the 4 powerful army souls was still vivid. And now, it was taking the offensive, aiming to exterminate 3 million soldiers. Such decisiveness was beyond ordinary comprehension. Just, wow, he'd lived 4,000 years, 4 millennia, seen countless peerless geniuses rise and fall, but someone with Ning Changge's temperament, he was the only one truly unique. It wasn't just that Ning Changge was ruthless. It was that profound indifference that sent a shiver down even Xianxia's spine. Sure, Xianxia himself viewed ordinary people as ants, adopting a godlike mentality, HMPH, mortals, but if you asked him to slaughter 3 million soldiers with his own hands, even he wouldn't be as utterly unmoved as Ning Changge appeared. Not even a flicker. Gazes filled with reverence settled on Ning Changge. Everyone's understanding of him had just undergone another radical update. Meanwhile, atop the imperial throne, Temujin's expression changed drastically. He couldn't help but roar in fury, "Ning Changge, you dare!" RAAH. Ning Changge merely glanced at Temujin, the corner of his mouth hooking into a disdainful smirk. Pathetic. With a flick of his finger, the Blood Fiend banner swelled further, like a colossal blood cloud pressing down ominously on the 3 million soldiers. FWOM, VMMMMMMM. The Doomsday Blood Fiend banner vibrated intensely. Sheets of blood light rained down, drip, drip, splash. Onlookers felt like they were seeing actual mountains of corpses and seas of blood churning within that light. Terrifying beyond measure. The 3 million soldiers stared up, eyes wide with terror, hearts hammering madly, bodies trembling uncontrollably. No, even the souls of the commanding generals trembled. This is bad, but they knew. Knew they couldn't panic now. Panicking meant certain doom. They knew their emperor wouldn't leave the city to save them. They had to save themselves, only us. All troops, hear my command. Blood sacrifice the army SOULS. Slay this villain. One of the generals roared, desperate. Mustering their last dregs of courage, a crazed glint appeared deep within the soldiers' eyes. GRRR. In this moment, all reason abandoned them. The intense primal urge to survive plunged them into madness. Survival, kill, 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 under the stunned gazes of the onlookers. SHING, SHING, SHING. Swords flashed from scabbards, then horrifyingly, soldiers began slashing themselves, drawing bloody lines across their own bodies. Slice, slice. 3 million soldiers performing a blood sacrifice simultaneously. What a spectacularly gruesome sight. The metallic tang of blood in the air intensified drastically. Bleck. Streaks of bloodlight erupted from the soldiers, shooting upwards, pouring back into the 4 weakened army souls. FWOSH. Instantly, the army soul's power flared violently. This was forcefully boosting the army soul's strength at the cost of their lifeblood. A desperate gamble. It looked impressive, but it was truly a fight to the death. If this didn't work, the 3 million soldiers would completely lose all combat capability, unlike normal situations where even a destroyed army soul could regenerate from the soldier's residual baleful aura. This time, it's different, but they had no choice. Ning Changge had pushed them into a dead end. VMMMM, the 4 army souls pulsed together, nourished by the blood sacrifice. The 2 faceless giant generals seemed to gain a glimmer of sentience. The 4 army souls roared furiously. One giant general mounted the heavenly wolf. The other stood atop the divine eagle. They charged upwards, aiming for the Blood Fiend banner hanging ominously above. RAARGH, the army souls merged 2 by 2, their combined power skyrocketing. Impossible. This shouldn't have been possible. The souls weren't from the same source, but the desperate blood sacrifice allowed them to temporarily achieve this feat. This was their final, desperate gamble, everything on this. The spear and glaive in the giant general's hands bloomed with chilling blood light. They aimed to tear through the bloody curtain cast by the banner, charging straight into the descending bloodlight. Break through, Ning Changge's eyes flashed with 5-colored spiritual light. His fingers danced, forming new seals, flicker, flicker, the next instant. The Doomsday Blood Fiend banner transformed again. VWOO. The dense curtain of bloodlight suddenly became a literal blood sea. Splash, roar, the previously ethereal bloodlight instantly solidified. The charging speed of the 2 giant general army souls dropped drastically, becoming excruciatingly slow. And an NNGH, so. Heavy, not only that their very forms began to dissolve under the corrosive touch of the blood sea, sizzle, melt. This was the doomsday blood fiend banner's other divine ability. Besides the blood fiend light beams, the blood sea, Chinese letter Zuhai, manifesting a sea of blood that could drown enemies, dissolving flesh and mana alike. Terrifying. However, since the blood fiend banner was newly refined, using this blood sea ability required a long cooldown period to recharge. Ning Changge hadn't originally planned on using it, but since the enemy insisted on a death struggle, he saw no reason to hold back. Fine, have it your way. When the real blood sea materialized, everyone was utterly dumbstruck. A real sea made of blood. Before, they only sensed the smell of corpses and blood within the light curtain, a figure of speech surely. But now, a genuine sea of blood, thick with suffocating baleful aura, spread out before them. Oh God! The 4 army souls were instantly engulfed, floundering within the churning blood sea. Splash, gurgle. The blood sea was vast, seemingly boundless. No matter how the army souls struggled, they were like tiny boats caught in a raging storm. Hopeless, the heavenly wolf howled. The divine eagle shrieked. The giant generals swung their weapons wildly. Thrash. Occasionally, they managed to carve out a small pocket of empty space, but in the next instant, new waves of blood surged in, filling the gap. Overwhelmed, endless, suffocating, relentless, can't breathe. Witnessing the army souls drowning in the infinite blood sea, everyone sucked in cold breaths, their limbs turning icy. So scary. The scene unfolding was simply too horrifying. Just looking at that churning blood sea from afar made them feel like they were suffocating. They couldn't even imagine the terror of being trapped inside it. Nightmare fuel. The 3 million soldiers below continued their desperate blood sacrifice, pouring their life force and baleful aura into the void. But it was useless. No, it's not working. The 4 army souls couldn't break free from the blood sea. Instead, they were visibly dissolving within it. Melting, the heavenly wolf's 4 legs vanished. The divine eagle's wings disappeared without a trace. The giant generals were reduced to torsos and arms, still feebly swinging their weapons. Fading, everyone stared, transfixed by the gruesome spectacle. Is this really happening? Even Ning Changge couldn't help but feel a sliver of awe mixed with dread. He looked at that young man, unable to comprehend how, in less than 20 years, the 9 provinces could produce such an unbelievably brilliant and terrifying figure. Who is he? Back then, I lost to Wang Xianji. I thought he might be the next one to shake the 9 provinces. But now, it seems, this little immortal is the one. A complex expression crossed his face, filled with a melancholic resignation. It felt like the old saying, "The waves behind push the waves before. My time is past." Slap. Temujin violently waved his hand, cutting him off, grinding his teeth. "Today, this bastard must be executed." His voice was raw with fury. "Otherwise, the fortune of our Mongol Yuan will plummet. We'll lose our place in the 9 provinces forever." Never. That was something he could not accept. Perhaps, deep down, he still clung to a desperate hope that the 4 army souls could somehow make a miraculous comeback. But clearly, things wouldn't go his way. It's over. Crash, a colossal wave rose from the blood sea. It crashed down, finally burying the last remnants of the 4 army souls deep beneath its bloody surface. Gone. The army souls were completely annihilated. This time, no matter how hard the Mongol generals tried to activate the formation, no army soul could be recondensed, because the blood sea had fundamentally destroyed the source of the soldiers' baleful aura. Without Sha Qi, there could be no army soul. It's fundamental. The commanding generals stared in abject horror. Impossible. For the common soldiers, it felt like the sky itself had collapsed. We're doomed. Even the most elite soldiers felt terror grip them in the face of death. "No, don't want to die. Save me, save us." Panicked screams erupted. "Great Khan, help us." "General, I don't want to die." "Please." Countless trembling cries echoed as they stared up at the horrifying blood sea. Fear painted every face. They had seen with their own eyes how those powerful army souls were effortlessly drowned, unable to struggle. What chance did their mortal bodies have? None. Temujin finally roared, unable to bear it any longer. "Ning Changge, your feud is with me with the Mongol Yuan. It has nothing to do with these ordinary soldiers. Let them go. My head is right here. Come and take it if you dare." His voice cracked with desperation. Ning Changge chuckled softly, finding it amusing. Nice words, smoother than singing. But in his eyes, there were only 2 categories, enemies and friends. Simple. These soldiers, however weak, however ant-like they seemed to him. The moment they directed killing intent towards him, their fate was sealed. You chose this. They are people of the Mongol Yuan, that is enough. Ning Changge stated calmly, then pointed down again. Finger points. Whoosh. The monstrous blood sea instantly poured downwards. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The world itself seemed to tremble violently. Under the soldiers' despairing, terrified gazes, under Temujin's furious, ice-cold stare, the blood sea churned into colossal waves and crashed down, engulfing all 3 million soldiers. N-O-O-O-O. Screams tore through the air only to be abruptly silenced. A-R glub glub. In this moment, whether they were elite heavenly wolf remnants or ordinary soldiers, it made no difference. None. They had just performed the blood sacrifice, severely depleting their essence and strength. Even at their peak, they couldn't have escaped the power of this blood sea. Occasionally, a stronger soldier might struggle briefly, thrashing against the crimson tide. But then a single wave would crash over them and they'd vanish without a trace. Gone, you could see them. Soldiers dissolving slowly within the churning red liquid, melting. A final shriek, and then they simply became part of the bloody tide, dissolving into the very substance of the blood sea. Schlorp, with every soldier absorbed. The aura of the blood sea grew slightly stronger, more power. The Doomsday Blood Fiend banner's foundation was the blood essence of the original million Heavenly Wolf soldiers. It possessed considerable potential. It could devour blood essence to grow stronger. These 3 million soldiers were the perfect nourishment for its growth. Feed, wails, curses, begging, help, mercy, damn you, all sorts of sounds echoed briefly from within the blood sea, only to be swiftly extinguished. Silence. Everyone watched this horrifying scene unfold, utterly chilled to the bone. This is pure horror. Could the little immortal be the reincarnation of a killing immortal? Someone whispered, voice trembling. 3 million soldiers. Even killing 3 million ants wouldn't be this easy, right? Isn't this too ruthless? After all, these soldiers were just following orders. Another voice wavered, uncertain. HMPH. I disagree, snapped a third observer. Those who kill will be killed. Mongol Yuan soldiers are notoriously bloodthirsty. When they conquer cities, they often massacre everyone, burn everything. I feel no sympathy for them. Serves them right. Just moments ago, these very soldiers were screaming about devouring the little immortal's flesh and blood. Different sides, different stances. Nothing more to say, they were simply weaker. That's the law of the jungle. Exactly. Different stances. I think the little immortal did nothing wrong, but this kind of decisiveness, this scale, it's not something an ordinary person could ever do. Takes guts, or lack of feeling. Indeed. Even if I had the power to wipe out 3 million soldiers, I'm not sure I could actually bring myself to do it. Shakes head. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Reverent gazes turned towards Ning Changge. Before, people were mainly shocked by his astonishing strength. But now, adding the million Heavenly Wolf soldiers from before, Ning Changge alone had already wiped out 4 million soldiers. 4 million. How utterly terrifying was that? Wu Wudi fell silent. No words. He knew deep down his own martial will wasn't strong enough to support such an act. I couldn't do it. If it were him, he might go insane himself before he finished killing even a fraction of that number. The mental toll, the mental pressure of slaughtering millions was something easily overlooked. He looked complexly at Ning Changge, serene atop the divine condor. For the first time in his life, he felt genuinely inferior to someone else. Heh. He called himself Wudi invincible, yet he'd encountered this kind of person. Some invincible. Ning Changge stood with his hands clasped behind him, untouched by all the gazes. He acted according to his own will, never caring about others' opinions. So what if the entire world thought he was a mass murderer? Who cares? As long as it didn't hinder his pursuit of the Tao, it didn't matter, nothing else matters. A faint flicker of pleasure appeared in his eyes. He could clearly feel the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner growing stronger. Good. He waved his hand. Swish. The monstrous blood sea that had filled the space between heaven and earth instantly surged back, retracting rapidly. Whoosh! It was drawn back into the Blood Fiend banner. One could now see that the black-red banner had gained a more vibrant, almost fresh, bloody hue. The blood light within it seemed far more concentrated, more conspicuous than before. Looks stronger. This was because it had just devoured the essence of 3 million lives and hadn't finished digesting it yet. Burp. Ning Changge formed another seal. Flick. The Doomsday Blood Fiend banner rapidly shrank, landing softly in his right palm. He could clearly sense its power had more than doubled. Nice upgrade. It just needed a little time to digest fully. Patience. A slight curve touched his lips. He stored it back within the mana vortex in his dantian, letting his own mana slowly nurture it. He could easily imagine Once the banner fully digested all that blood essence, the blood sea stored within it would reach a whole new level of power. Can't wait at this moment, where the vast army had stood outside the capital city. There was nothing, emptiness, gone. A gentle breeze blew past, stirring up dust. The dark clouds overhead began to thin slightly. Only then did people realize with a jolt. There was now nothing standing between Ning Changge and the Mongol capital. Clear path. It was at this moment that the dam finally broke within the Mongol Yuan capital. Waves of hateful curses and furious roars erupted, having witnessed the slaughter of 3 million of their countrymen by Ning Changge's hand. They were filled with both terror and boundless hatred. Monster. Executioner. You cold-blooded, heartless executioner. Die, die, die. You killed our people. You must pay with your blood. Blood for blood. Ningchangge. One day, I swear I will make you suffer the same pain. Make you watch your WDNG disciples die one by one before your eyes. Mark my words. Damn you, you beast! I'll kill you. Ning Changge could almost feel the waves of hatred radiating from the city, like countless daggers aimed at him. If looks could kill, he'd probably be full of holes already. Heh, he remained completely unmoved, like water off a duck's back. Temujin's face was now utterly frozen, colder than ice. His voice seemed to crawl from the depths of a frozen hell. Good, very good, you slaughtered 3 million of my subjects. You are very good. His voice trembled with suppressed rage. Ning Changge, didn't you say you wanted to kill me? Fine. I'll give you the chance. Come and get me. As Temujin's words fell, the massive gates of the Mongol Yuan capital boomed open. The city gates, dozens of Shanghai, gaped open like the maw of some colossal, mysterious beast. Chomp, dark, deep, terrifying, everyone's heart leaped. They were stunned by Temujin's sheer audacity. The little immortal had just finished slaughtering 3 million soldiers, and Temujin still had this much confidence. Is he crazy, or does he have another trick? Everyone stared at that deep, dark city gate, eyes flickering with suspicion and uncertainty. What's he playing at? Was this real confidence, or just an empty fort strategy? The image of Ning Changge's doomsday blood fiend banner swallowing 3 million soldiers with its monstrous blood sea was still burned into their retinas. Under those circumstances, Temujin still dared to throw open the city gates and invite Ning Changge in. What did it mean? Could it be he truly wasn't afraid of the little immortal's terrifying banner? Impossible. Right. Confusion spread through the crowd. Surely there couldn't be an even more terrifying army lurking inside the city. Right. That was impossible. Counting the earlier million Heavenly Wolf soldiers and the 3 million just wiped out by Ning Changge. The Mongol Yuan had lost a staggering 4 million soldiers to Ning Changge alone. 4 million. Even though this world had a massive population, and dynasties couldn't be measured by normal historical standards. 4 million soldiers had to represent at least 60% of the Mongol Yuan's entire military might. 60% gone, in other words. After today, the Mongol Yuan army was likely insufficient to hold its vast territories. It might even collapse entirely, crumble, so if military might wasn't the answer. Where was Temujin getting this confidence from? Where? The Jianghu onlookers were baffled. Many suspected it was just an empty fort bluff trying to scare off the little immortal. But could a figure like the little immortal who had single-handedly slaughtered 3 million soldiers be intimidated by such a simple trick? Yeah, right. They smirked disdainfully, ready for the show. This'll be good. However, some of the older, more experienced Jianghu seniors had solemn expressions. They knew things weren't that simple. Something's off. A dynasty's greatest strengths are twofold, one veteran mumbled slowly, his voice capturing everyone's attention. First, armies can form formations capable of suppressing Land Immortals. Even peak experts of the 9 provinces would fall before the soul of a million-strong army. But that's not the fundamental reason dynasties rule the 9 provinces. Oh, then what is? Haven't you ever wondered, why has no martial arts expert ever dared to do what the little immortal is doing now, entering an imperial capital alone to assassinate the emperor? A decapitation strike? The old master's question hung in the air, stunning everyone into silence. Yeah, why not? It was a doubt lurking in everyone's mind. Armies were terrifying, sure, but they couldn't possibly guard the capital every single second, could they? It didn't make sense for peak experts to be so wary of dynasties. Someone couldn't help but glance towards Xianxia. The 12th astonishment of the Central Plains had done something similar once, hadn't he? But that was a tiny kingdom, maybe like Dolly's level. Different ball game. Xianxia let out a soft breath, his eyes clouded with complex emotions, seemingly lost in memories. Ha! He rarely spoke, but now he did. Because of imperial Dao fortune or dynasty fortune. Ever since the era of dynasties began, there's been the saying, no 9 provinces emperor is weak. It's because of dynasty fortune. Firstly, it can bolster the emperor's martial arts cultivation, even combining with it in strange ways. Secondly, it directly enhances the emperor's strength. Boost juice. An ordinary Land Immortal facing the emperor of a major nation, probably slapped to death with a casual wave. Splat. Xianxia recalled his own venture into that small kingdom's capital years ago. That time. Luckily, the kingdom was small, its fortune weak. That was the only reason he could come and go freely. But after that, he wanted nothing more to do with dynasties. He knew if he'd targeted one of the top dynasties of the 9 provinces, he'd be nothing but scattered bones now. Close call. That's why the moment he heard Ning Changge planned to destroy the Mongol Yuan capital alone, he rushed over immediately. Had to see this. He wasn't the only peak expert who'd come for that reason. Many wanted to see. Did this heaven-defying little immortal truly have the means? Or was he just fatally overconfident? Which is it? Hearing Xianxia's explanation, everyone's expression changed. So that's it, imperial Dao fortune. For many, this was the first time hearing such a term. It was a secret of the 9 provinces, one the dynasties could easily suppress to maintain their mystique and power. Sneaky. No matter how fiercely the Jianghu fought amongst itself, it could never truly shake the foundations of the imperial court. Then what about the Great Sui? Someone asked, puzzled. When the Sui capital was destroyed, why didn't the Sui emperor use his imperial Dao fortune to fight back? Because the Great Sui's fortune was already extinguished, rotten from the roots up. A reclusive expert formerly from the Sui dynasty sneered coldly. There wasn't much fortune left, and behind the scenes, the emperors of the other major dynasties were working together to suppress it. Otherwise, how could it have fallen so easily? Politics, baby. Everyone felt a jolt of understanding. They looked back at the gaping gate of the Mongol Yuan capital, and suddenly it seemed even more like the maw of a terrifying beast. Definitely a trap. Their gazes shifted back to Ning Changge. What would he choose? Go in or back off? Even if Ning Changge chose to retreat now after slaughtering 3 million soldiers alone, no one in the 9 provinces would dare look down on him. He'd already proven enough, more than enough. All eyes fell upon Ning Changge. He still looked completely unfazed, like he's bored. Only, the 5-colored spiritual light swirling in his eyes held a hint of surprise and curiosity. Interesting. He'd actually noticed this imperial Dao fortune phenomenon quite early on. When Princess Yunluo first visited Wudang, he'd given her an artifact specifically to observe the great Ming's imperial Dao fortune through her connection. He'd gained some insights, but since she wasn't the emperor herself, the gains weren't huge. Just a peek. But now, arriving personally at the Mongol Yuan capital, he immediately sensed the difference. Under his 5-element spirit eyes, nothing could hide. The entire Mongol Yuan capital seemed like a single, cohesive entity. The collective spirit and presence of its citizens were fused together, with a strange, potent energy converging within it. This power seemed strongest within the city walls, weakening rapidly the further out it extended. Fascinating pattern. This imperial Dao fortune power? It feels a bit weaker than it should be. Was it when I devoured those 3 million soldiers just now? Ning Changge mused internally, a spark of understanding igniting. This imperial Dao fortune was the dynasty's foundation. The stronger the dynasty, the deeper its roots, the more potent its fortune, and vice versa. Just as I suspected before, Ning Changge thought slowly. Most of the 9 provinces' overall fortune is concentrated within the various dynasties. The Jianghu's share isn't even 10% of the dynasties. If I want to gather the fortune of the 9 provinces, I cannot avoid dealing with these dynasties. Gotta go through them. He knew exactly why Temujin had opened the gates, inviting him in. Some kind of trap was undoubtedly waiting. Obviously, but he didn't care. To whatever tricks Temujin had planned, Ning Changge had absolute confidence he could handle them. Bring it on, he'd said he would destroy the Mongol Yuan capital and behead Temujin. He would fulfill his word. And now, he had a new reason, observing this dynasty fortune up close. Ning Changge was genuinely curious now. Perhaps today he could even create his own method for utilizing fortune. New project. When Wudang eventually established itself as an immortal sect, it would definitely need fortune to anchor it. Even further down the line, if the world itself ascended, fortune would be indispensable. These things were unavoidable. Therefore, he had to enter this capital. No choice. As everyone held their breath, Temujin's icy voice snarled. Ning Changge, if you don't dare, then get out. Go back to Wudeng and wait for my iron cavalry to flatten your mountain gate. Pathetic taunt. This clumsy attempt at provocation actually made Ning Changge chuckle softly. Heh, a mocking curve touched his lips. Kyudao, let's go in, Ning Changge said lightly to the divine condor. The condor's eyes immediately lit up with intense excitement and fervor. SCRE? Yes. It let out a long cry. It was incredibly excited too. Back when it followed Dugu Kyubai, there were never scenes like this. Now accompanying Ning Changge to destroy an imperial capital, even its massive body trembled with excitement. This is awesome. Sure, its role wasn't huge, mainly just saving the Tao Lord some travel effort. But this was definitely something to brag about to that little monkey back home. Heh heh. Just thinking about the jealous, hateful look on the monkey's face when the Tao Lord asked him, the condor, to come along. The divine condor felt immensely satisfied. Suck it, monkey. Whoosh, the divine condor spread its wings. The power of Zun wind surged. Azure light flowed over its golden feathers. It transformed into a streak of light and BOOMED straight through the open city gates. Crash. Everyone watching gasped. He actually went in, even though they knew Ning Changge's temperament wouldn't allow for cowardice. Actually seeing him fly right into the potential death trap still sent shockwaves through them. He's crazy. This was truly one man facing down an entire dynasty. Unbelievable. Ning Changge, standing calmly on the divine condor's back, now hovered in the airspace within the capital, looking indifferently at Temujin opposite him. Temujin shot up from his throne, his expression a bizarre mix of fury and ecstatic joy. He's here fury because Ning Changge actually dared to enter, clearly showing no respect. Joy also because Ning Changge entered. If they could capture him today, the immortal method was within reach. Mine. Even losing 4 million soldiers. If they obtained the immortal method, it would be worth it. Just give him some time to develop it, and the Mongol Yuan would become the undisputed ruler of the 9 provinces. All mine. Ha ha ha. Excellent Ning Changge. I don't know whether to call you astonishingly brave, or just suicidally ignorant. Temujin glared across the several hundred Zhang gap. Now that they were closer, he could see Ning Changge clearly. Temujin had to admit this kid was an unparalleled monster, the likes of which hadn't been seen in ages. His bearing, his audacity, far surpassed any so-called genius. Impressive, but he dies today. Today. My Mongol Yuan capital shall be your grave. Temujin's voice turned ice-cold. Without any visible movement, a strange power suddenly surged around him. VMMMM. In an instant, the entire capital city felt. Sealed. Imperial Tao fortune descended like a tidal wave, flowing from every citizen, surging from the city itself, transforming the very space within the walls into a cage. Clang. High above, one could almost hear the howl of a celestial wolf, the Mongol totem, a manifestation of their dynasty's fortune. AWO. Fortune activated, this meant, from this moment on. Even if Ning Changge wanted to escape, he couldn't, trapped, unless he could shatter the Mongol Yuan's dynasty fortune itself. Good luck with that. The Jianghu onlookers paled. Oh crap. The top-tier Land Immortals among them felt it even more clearly. Fortune sealed. City as a cage. Emperor Temujin intended to fight the little immortal to the death. This is it. No wonder the Yuan Emperor didn't intervene when the 3 million soldiers were being slaughtered. Someone exclaimed in realization. He was afraid of scaring the little immortal away. Makes sense. Imperial Tao fortune weakens the further you get from the capital. If he'd attacked back then, maybe he could have defeated the little immortal, but the little immortal could have also just retreated. Gotcha. The Yuan Emperor. He sacrificed 3 million soldiers just to set this trap. What ruthless calculation. Cold-blooded, everyone stared in horror. The moment the fortune cage formed, they understood Temujin's terrifying gamble. He bet everything. Isn't he afraid this rock he lifted will smash his own foot? Someone whispered nervously. Can he really handle the little immortal's power? Risky. Everyone stood on the peaks outside the city, only those at the Heavenman realm or above able to clearly see the scene within the capital. They stared intently, not daring to miss a single detail. This could be the most significant challenge to dynastic rule since the dawn of the imperial era in the 9 provinces. A truly epic-defining moment. Ning Changge casually glanced at the surrounding fortune cage. Neat trick. His eyes held only curiosity and analysis. As for Temujin's threats, he ignored them completely. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever tricks you have, just use them already. Come on. Ning Changge sat down cross-legged on the divine condor's back. Five-colored light flickered in his eyes as the fundamental nature of the imperial Tao fortune was slowly peeled back, layer by layer within his perception. Instantly, countless sparks of inspiration began to flash through his mind. Aha, I see. A surge of icy rage flashed in Temujin's eyes. How dare he ignore me? The officials beside him bristled with fury. An insult to the master is death to the servant. Seeing Ning Changge disregard Temujin like this hurt more than being stabbed themselves. They secretly swore. Once they tortured the immortal method out of Ning Changge, they would make him suffer the most agonizing death imaginable. You'll pay, excellent. Where is MYKHSHIG army? Temujin's voice suddenly boomed, echoing through the heavens. Summon the guard. The next moment, replying shouts roared up, shaking the sky. By the great Khan's command, the KHSHIG army and the Mongol Yuan stand together. For the Khan. Under everyone's shocked gaze, figures radiating powerful auras suddenly strode out from within the imperial palace. Whoosh, 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 someone gasped audibly. No way. The Keshig army. The Yuan Emperor's personal imperial guard. The legends are true. If the Heavenly Wolf army soldiers could each fight 10 ordinary soldiers, then the Keshig guards could easily take on 100. Those capable of fighting 1,000 were numerous among them. Figures clad in black Heavenly Wolf armor, wielding Heavenly Wolf spears, their presence immense. And they weren't riding horses. They rode atop ferocious, snarling, giant white wolves. Giant wolves, how cool. The Keshig army, it actually exists. I always thought it was just a Mongol legend. Cries of disbelief erupted. Eyes locked onto those wolf riders. Amazing. The Mongol Yuan revered the Heavenly Wolf as their totem, equivalent to the true dragon for other dynasties. The Keshig army riding giant wolves said everything. Legend claimed that 50,000 Keshig troops once easily routed an army of 1,000,000. But it was never confirmed. Many thought it was just fanciful exaggeration, just stories. Right. But now, the Keshig army stood revealed before everyone's eyes. And not only that, what shocked everyone the most was strands of imperial Tao fortune rained down from the sky, infusing into the 50,000 Keshig soldiers. ZZZZT, power up. Instantly, their already formidable aura grew even more immense. A mystical power flowed through them, stronger, far stronger than the armies outside the city just moments ago. Whoa. Only the Keshig army could withstand its direct infusion. Special troops. Ning Changge, that blood banner of yours is certainly miraculous, able to break army soul baleful aura. Temujin's confidence surged, a cruel grin spreading across his face. Let's see if that blood banner can break my Keshig army, protected by imperial fortune. Checkmate. The ferocious aura of the Keshig army surged skywards. The power of imperial Tao fortune wasn't something ordinary people could comprehend. Only fellow dynasty rulers truly understood its immensity. This was why emperors generally didn't worry too much about Jianghu affairs, unless some truly world-shaking expert emerged. This was also why Temujin dared let Ning Changge into the capital. The ultimate trump card. He'd seen clearly earlier. Ning Changge destroyed the 3 million soldiers primarily because his blood banner weakened the army's soul power. But protected by imperial Tao fortune, the Keshig army's soul would be fundamentally different from ordinary army souls. In a way, this was an army of fortune, a whole different beast. They were permanently stationed in the Mongol capital, rarely ever deployed outside. The Jianghu onlookers stared in horror at the fearsome wolf cavalry. Infused with imperial Tao fortune, each Keshig guard seemed no weaker than a Heavenman realm expert, and they could link their auras seamlessly, far beyond what the same number of individual Heavenman martial artists could achieve. Terrifying synergy, gasps echoed again, so strong. So this is the true foundation of the Mongol Yuan dynasty. With the Keshig army present, even if all other armies were destroyed, the Mongol Yuan could survive. The core remains. People couldn't help but look back at Ning Changge, still seated calmly on the divine condor. How would he respond this time? Could the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner work its magic again? Can it beat fortune itself? Ning Changge's expression remained unchanged, merely a flicker of slight surprise in his eyes. Interesting combination. He gazed down at the Keshig army, noting the unique fusion between these guards and the dynasty fortune. But just this Keshig army alone wasn't enough to shake him, still not enough. He smiled faintly. He decided not to use the Doomsday Blood Fiend banner this time. Nope. It had just devoured 3 million souls worth of essence. It was still digesting. No need to forcibly activate it and waste that precious power. Ning Changge had plenty of other tricks up his sleeve. Plenty. Under the watchful eyes of everyone present, Ning Changge remained seated cross-legged on the condor. 5-colored spiritual light began to twinkle at his fingertips. Tiny motes of 5 elements mana, like starlight, gathered around him, speck by speck. This was the very foundation of mana. What's he doing now? Divine ability, scattering beans into soldiers. Whoosh, Ning Changge waved his Taoist robe sleeve. Sheets upon sheets of pure mana cascaded downwards like scattering immortal beans. Sparkle, sparkle, the crowd was baffled. What the? Beans, but in the next instant, mouths dropped open. Everyone froze, completely stunned. No fucking way. Those scattered beans of pure mana began to rapidly transform in midair. Morph, evolve, figures materialized out of the void. Soldier after soldier, clad in resplendent 5-colored immortal armor, suddenly appeared. Their combined presence was overwhelming, majestic, utterly divine. Whoa, instant army. Heh, ha! Faint, rhythmic shouts, seemingly echoing from an infinite distance, resonated in everyone's ears. The sound wasn't loud, yet it was unnervingly clear. Every single person's eyes were stretched wide, staring at the miraculous scene unfolding. They couldn't believe their own eyes. Is this real? Beside Ning Changge, tiny points of 5-colored light flickered like starlight, like brilliant fireflies. And from within that light, soldier after soldier clad in gleaming immortal armor materialized. Dao Bing, their aura was immense, powerful. Whoosh, whoosh, people couldn't stop swallowing nervously. Gulp, gulp. More and more of these immortal armored Dao Bing appeared. In the blink of an eye, they formed ranks, a military square easily matching the size of the opposing Keshig wolf riders standing guard below Ning Changge. Formation complete. Now, the full appearance of these immortal armored Dao Bing was revealed to the world. Completely encased in shimmering 5-colored immortal armor, each stood a towering 8 kai tall TLN, approx. 2.6 meters / 8.5 feet, wielding long spears. Their presence was overwhelming. One by one, they knelt on a single knee beside Ning Changge. Though silent, everyone could feel the terrifying power radiating from them. Intense, Ning Changge, still seated cross-legged on the divine condor, looked even more like an ancient Tao ancestor or immortal venerable, flanked by these celestial warriors. So majestic. He nodded slowly, then closed his eyes again, resuming his focused contemplation of the exposed dynasty fortune swirling around him. Sparks of inspiration continued flashing through his mind. He wasn't worried about the Keshig army in the slightest. Meh, the divine ability, scattering beans into soldiers. The beans were the foundation of mana. The soldiers were immortal armored Dao Bing, immune to mortal weaponry. Plus, after clashing with several armies already, Ning Changge had long since grasped the principles of military formations. These Dao Bing could form formations too. He could safely focus on his insights. No problem. Everyone stared, utterly awestruck at these heavenly soldiers and generals, their breathing hitched. What are these things?" whispered someone. "I feel my heart trembling." The little immortal just waved his hand and summoned tens of thousands of soldiers in an instant. Impossible speed. And look at them. This army seems no weaker than the Keshig army opposite them. They're just as scary. No weaker. Ha, I feel like I couldn't even beat one of them, a martial artist muttered. One after another, the Heavenman realm experts trembled, exchanging bitter glances. We're nothing. Since when? Had Heavenman realm experts become weaker than common foot soldiers? When did this happen? These experts were famous figures in the Jianghu, big shots, but before the Keshig army and these immortal armored heavenly soldiers, they felt utterly insignificant, like dust, and the Land Immortals each wore a grave expression. This is serious. Okay, they weren't so weak they couldn't beat a single pawn. But this was an army of tens of thousands at that level. Tens of thousands. It was terrifying to imagine what kind of horrifying army soul this army could condense if they formed a proper battle array. Unthinkable power. Li Changge was completely silent, his face etched with deep thought. He opened his mouth wanting to say something, but ultimately closed it again. Words fail. He just stared intently at the standoff within the capital city. By now, everyone knew both sides were confident, but the final result, that could only be decided by fighting. Let's see who wins. Temujin looked at the perfectly formed ranks of immortal armored Dao Bing beside Ning Changge, a flicker of gravity crossing his face. He did feel a definite threat from this strange army, but he remained fearless. He had absolute faith in his Keshig army. As an emperor, if you lost your confidence, you weren't fit to rule, never back down. He'd been shocked by Ning Changge's various methods. Yes, but not once from beginning to end did he ever believe he would lose. Temujin's imposing figure radiated domineering aura. He rose from his throne, bellowing, "Keshig army, hear my command. Trample all enemies, capture Ning Changge for me." Get HIM, a fiery glint flashed in his eyes. The immortal method, he wanted it. Not only did he desire eternal life, spanning thousands, tens of thousands of years, but he also coveted Ning Changge's myriad mysterious techniques. If he could obtain this immortal art of summoning Dao Bing. So what if the Mongol Yuan lost 4 million soldiers? They would still be a top-tier power in the 9 provinces. I will have it. Fueled by this conviction, Temujin's aura surged. No 9 provinces emperor was weak. As the ruler of the Mongol Yuan, Temujin was its strongest existence. I am the peak. It's just that emperors rarely deign to fight personally. 2 beneath them. The Yuan emperor gave the order. The sharp-eyed middle-aged man beside him, Jebi, took a step forward, instantly appearing at the very front of the Keshig army. Jebi, only the most powerful archer in the Mongol Yuan, could earn that title. He was also the commander of the Keshig, the arrow god. By the emperor's command, kill, Jebi roared. Kill, kill, kill. Thunderous roars shot skywards. The combined aura of the 50,000 Keshig troops was no less powerful than the previous million-strong armies, possibly even stronger. Not only that, the giant wolves beneath them threw back their heads and howled in unison. AWO. These wolves were raised alongside their riders from birth. They understood human intent perfectly, amplifying the Keshig riders' combat prowess to an even more terrifying degree. Perfect synergy, 50,000 wolf cavalry charged. Imperial dragon chi infused them. The heavenly wolf spears in their hands radiated extreme sharpness. Charge, their momentum was overwhelming, suffocating, can't breathe. It felt like everything in their path would be trampled into dust. Annihilation. Everyone instinctively held their breath. Here it comes. In contrast,